Welcome to the pod. This is the Vulcan Soapbox. I am your gracious host, Freshly Snipes. We are here to debate topics that affect the community, the culture, whether directly or indirectly, and discuss things with an intelligent discourse, utilizing as much critical thinking as we can. You know me, I'm just here to get some shots up. Enos, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yes. Like I said, thank y'all for showing up and thank you for the audience for listening and tuning in. Yeah, this show is designed to cultivate critical thinking more in our culture. And that's it. That's all I have to say.
What up, everybody? I'm the Vulcan. Vulcan, if y'all
Beat.
familiar with the show Star Trek, the Vulcan was a race of people. This is the right hand man to Captain Kirk. But the show was basically about. The Vulcans were about reason and logic. That's what they base their decisions off of. So sometimes they were criticized for it. You hear people saying facts over feelings. Well, that's pretty much what the Vulcans are about. So I'm Vulcan. I'm here to stand on my soapbox and proclaim that to the world. Everybody's building up an edification. And let's go ahead, Solar Ken, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yo, what's going on? Solar King, the Energy King here. I'm a black entrepreneur, man. I'm just trying to give my opinion about, I guess, what works best and what doesn't. I'm standing on this box and we're gonna get to it. I'm with the JP.
What's up, y'all? I'm JP. I'm here to share my thoughts. I got a lot of thoughts about a lot of things. Knowledge is power, so I'm here to learn. Appreciate y'all having me on.
Yo, it's the one and only CQ. I'm here to elevate my mind, you know what I'm saying? Listen to some interesting topics, give my views, give my opinions, and, learn, help my mind think more critically. Let's get it.
All right.
Enos is the MC. Enos, please take it away.
All right. So let's get into the first video. First video, we're going to go with this gentleman named Whack 100. Just to give a little background if y'all don't know who he is. He's his manager, but he's been saying a lot of controversial things lately. So, all right, just bear with me. All right, y'all ready?
Here.
Let's get it.
Tupac ain't 10% of what Will Smith is. Tupac ain't 10% of what Will Smith is. The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air alone trumps anything Pac did on television.
Tupac's respected more as an artist.
No, he's respected in the fucking streets. Pac cannot replace Will's face. Will Smith, the first artist to win a Grammy. First rapper to win a Grammy. Pac is not a Will Smith.
But make it out like Pac was like the ultimate gangster.
He was not a gang. What did he do, gangster?
Shot a cop.
He didn't shoot a cop. They were not in uniform. He did not know they were police. Tupac ain't 10% of what Will Smith is. The French.
I don't think we need to listen to it again. Panel, take it away. We'll go with let's go with Vulcan first, and give me your thoughts if you agree or disagree on it.
Disagree with what?
Wax said that Will Smith is. Hold on for a minute. I'm lagging. I'm coming out fine?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah. So, well, Wax said Will Smith is, I forgot, I can't remember the exact word he used, comparing Will Smith to Tupac.
Oh, well, as far as because he made a lot of points in there, so I don't know what you want me to say. I mean, some things I agree with, some things I don't agree with that he said. I think the part that I want to focus on that I agree with him about, that I disagree with him about was when he says that Tupac wasn't a gangster. Now for me, I don't endorse being a gangster anyway, so I don't look at being a gangster as a badge of honor or a crown to wear, especially within our community. But I will say that a gangster is a violent ruffian. It's a thug. and he definitely was that.
Nasty.
He called himself that. When you listen to Fat Joe, you listen to Busta Rhymes, a lot of rappers that talk about Tupac, they said every time they saw him, he was in violence. That's a gangster to me. That's a thug to me. You know, regardless of whether his background, where he came from, the songs he had like Dear Mama and, you know, Thug's Mansion, whatever you want to call it, to me, he was a gangster because all the people that talk about him that was around him said he was a gangster, said he was always in violence, and he called himself that. So that's my thoughts on that. That's why I disagree with Whack on. Who's
I'll say this too. I think that what he's doing is he's defining greatness a particular way. And if you're talking about, you know, because he defines it as winning, he talked about winning a Grammy. He talked about his success on TV. So, you know, you can say anything you want as far as greatness if you define greatness a certain way. If you talk about who's the greatest thug or who had the greatest cultural impact in the Black community, who then it becomes more debatable. So I feel like he was getting a little clickbaity in that he was saying something that he knew was going to ruffle feathers, but then, you know, he just defined it in a very narrow way to make Will Smith look like this compared to Tupac down here. So I was just peeping game, you know.
I mean,
so Lacan, what you got?
I mean, you want to get to it, right? The only reason this conversation comes up is because of Jada and I guess Pac's relationship.
Boo.
Jada and Pac's relationship defines the reason why that isn't even a topic on that podcast. And then when you look into it from the standpoint of Will Smith and Tupac, they are obviously of the culture, but they're not necessarily in the same realm when it comes down to rappers or actors or and then even just longevity. Now, mind you, 90s sitcom, Will Smith had it on lock. That's our childhood. Anybody who's born in the mid 80s grew up on Fresh Prince. So that was your go home to I guess commentary for that evening. Then you're looking at, okay, when it comes down to music, if you grew up in the late 80s, early 90s, gangster rap was obviously at the pinnacle peak of its probably time. And with that being stated, Tupac only had about 5 year 5 year run in that game. Like, so him saying that he's 10%, he's going off of what Will Smith has done over his whole career, which is about 30 years strong right now, versus 5 years of what Pac did. And had Pac had been around for the next 25 years, imagine what Pac will be right now to the culture, to the world, to everything, because he's been dead for over damn near 25 years, going on 30 years or whatever it is. I'm sorry, because but at the end of the day, he's been dead for a long time, and still transitions very well throughout the world. Any song that you go to, any club, you can hear him singing every word. You can't hear that with Will Smith. You don't hear that with Will Smith, even with the hits that he has, even with the Grammys that he has. He doesn't ring the same bells in the same neighborhoods under the same circumstances when it comes down to like Black culture. Like,
What about getting jiggy with it? You telling me that's
No,
not?
no. Chill, bro. Hey, don't come for the man catalog like that.
The crazy thing is that you would play a Pac song right after that, and everybody would be on.
I don't know. I'll be interested to see a hits. What's that show where they battle it out?
Versus.
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 I know you.
Know what I'm saying?
I know you would be interested in that, JP. There's no way. Nobody want to see Will Smith get done dirt like that.
Pac had album after album after album, like literally was dropping albums like young boy. Like he was a young boy of his generation. He was dropping albums every 3 months. Like, yo, come on now. Like,
CQ, what you got, CQ?
I mean, I'll say like one of the most gangster things. I kind of want to piggyback off of Solar. Like, Pac's been dead for 30 years, and he's still one of the hot topics of discussion. So that just says a lot about his impact, you know, and what he.
Shout out to Jada.
And what he means to. I don't even think it's Jada, man, because he's just been. I mean, you can go on YouTube right now, and there's literally dudes making hundreds and thousands of dollars just off of using Tupac as the topic of their YouTube channel. There's a guy named Art of Dialogue right now. All he does is interview people that knew Tupac. and we're talking a guy who's been dead for almost 30 years. But I can agree to some things that Wax said as far now the whole 10% thing. Another thing, like Solar said, Pac only had like a 5-year run. You know, unfortunately, he was taken out at 25 years old. But when it comes to the streets, and you know, people wouldn't have looked. A lot of the street cats do say that, you know, Pac wasn't a gangster. They would say that he was sort of because a lot of the songs he did, he talked about other people's experience through his music. So I could see why Wack, being a Pyru would have those opinions, because a lot of those street cats would say the same thing about Tupac.
All right, Fresh, you go next. Oh, keep in mind for the panel to keep your phones on silence. No interruptions. Go ahead, Fresh.
I'm pretty much gonna echo what everyone else said. In particular, the sentiment that there's no other reason for us to even have this conversation, this comparison, if it's not for Jada and her infidelity and what she's doing out here in these streets. Pac and Will Smith do not exist in the same spectrum of the culture. They both are on opposite ends of the spectrum. I personally don't respect Tupac as a gangster. That's just my opinion. Great musician, pretty decent actor, but I always looked at it as he was cosplaying to a certain extent.
Why did you think that? Like, was that from interviews, or why did you think that about him?
Because I'm from a place where people generally did that because they had to. So I don't understand somebody who's coming out of the environment and the household that he was, going into that and pretending to be that. He didn't have to. He could rap, he could act. He had all that. He had that entire skill set that he had without the gangster stuff. There's literally no reason for him to be doing that, other than he required that street cred at that point in time to be able to rap like that and it be believable.
Let me chime in there right there, Freshly. Let's go back to the whole point of who Tupac was, right? Pac was to the culture at that time is what everybody needed. Everything needed. There needed to be a face that could wear multiple masks, and he was that. He could be a gangster. He could be a lover boy. He could be an actor. He could be everything and all that. And I want to say that's one of the reasons why probably Jada fell for that character or whoever he was at that time, because you look at it from the standpoint of what did the culture need? We needed a voice that can resonate throughout the streets. That was Pac. You needed somebody who can, I guess, capture your attention. Obviously, to women, he was a symbol. He was a sex symbol in that regard. Like, and he was a thug to the image of the black man. And I'm not saying that was a good or a bad thing, but that was represented in that culture at that time, gangster rap.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm not knocking his overall impact on the culture, but your operative word was it was a character.
Oh, for sure.
I don't disrespect Tupac. I specifically stated I don't respect him as a gangster because it's not authentic. It was a mask he put on to achieve a certain purpose.
Of course.
There is no reason for him to be doing that other than to facilitate that and to cater to that particular demographic.
So just to chime in here, like when you say you don't respect him as a gangster, you're saying for you you're saying you only would respect a gangster that had to be a gangster.
I respect a gangster who did it for the reasons that a gangster becomes a gangster.
Well, don't gangsters become gangsters for all kind of different reasons?
Sure.
So go ahead, CQ.
There was an interview with Pac where he said thugging made him $1 million, so he's gonna do it because he has family to feed. So there is an idea that this was a persona, because he in that same interview he even said that the interviewer was asking him, you like the idea of people before they approach you to be a little intimidated? And he said, yeah, I do. And he said, the reason why I like that is because it protects him in a way, because we know how the streets can be vicious. So if this quote unquote character gives me protection, it's making me money, then I'm gonna go ahead and do it. So even in Pak Song's words, he
It was a persona.
he did admit that it was a persona. It was him, but it was.
But hold on. What? See, I don't get.
So-
I don't get this. Sorry, go ahead. Somebody gonna say something?
Do we respect a person like Charleston White's accomplishments less because he out here acting like a fool at this point? Do we respect his actual work less because of how he's getting it done? I'm not knocking Tupac. I respect Tupac as a lyricist, as an author, as an actor. But I mean, there's a certain authenticity that's supposed to come with being a gangster. There's a certain credo and code.
I mean,
that comes from that. I just don't respect, huh?
That's my whole point. He's stomping out gang members. That's what got him murdered in the first place. He's beating up DJs. He's beating up movie directors and movie script writers and stuff like that. Where he's fighting them, he's stomping them out. He's got his shirt off, spitting in cameras. He's dressing like a gangster. His body language and mannerisms and even his speaking pattern is model gangsters. What more can he do to be a gangster that people would accept?
Hey, you know who else did that? Anthony Mackie, when he was portraying Tupac in the movie. It's an act, bro.
No, he didn't actually stomp any gangsters. He did not actually stomp any gangsters. So he didn't beat up DJs.
Again, the point of the fact of the matter is,
my question for y'all is this: what would he need to do to get y'all's acceptance as a gangster? What does he need to do? What does he have to do?
I'll chime in here. I think what I hear is that because he didn't have to become that way, because he did it for fame, for money, he's not going to get the respect.
It lacks authenticity.
Because they had to do it. So I think that is a big difference, right? Most people don't respect people that do things for disingenuous reasons. Now, whether or not getting money is a genuine reason for doing something, that's a whole nother debate. But if we're talking about respectable gangsters, I think you have to put two categories. The one category would be those that did it because that's what they knew, that's what they grew up around, it was for survival. And then those like Tupac that did it as an act, as a mask to get money.
Well, see, I reject that dichotomy. I don't want to. Somebody else wants to cut in. Please cut in.
I want to disagree with that. He didn't have to do it. I think that's because if you look at his history, he grew up in Baltimore. We all know how Baltimore gets down. He grew up in Marin City. I don't know if y'all know much about Marin City, but it's not a great environment to grow up in. His mom was cracked out at the time on drugs. So
never met his dad.
Never met his dad. I wouldn't say that he didn't have to say that he didn't have to do it. I think that he was, in a sense, forced to do it, in the sense that this is the way that I'm going to get paid. This is how I'm going to get my family out of the struggle. Because we can't take away that he didn't, come from the struggle. He got sent out to Baltimore because his mom was on crack at the time and they had no lights on in the house. So she sent him to go live with some friends in Baltimore.
So was it an act or not? Because that sounds like then you're saying it's not. It wasn't an act.
I don't believe it was an act, but I do believe that I believe that it was his persona, of the thug image was heightened up a lot due to his personality, the media, what the media did to him. He shot 2 off-duty police.
It's the environment, bro. It's the environment.
So there is a part of it that the persona was ramped up, but I wouldn't say that he didn't have to do it. He didn't come up with a silver spoon.
So you're saying it wasn't?
No, I didn't intone silver spoon. I was never a gangster. I grew up in poverty. I grew up like it's not a necessitation of the environment that requires that. I'm not saying I'm mad at him for acting like that, but the common thread in everything that everyone is saying is he acted that way for a reason. He
Yeah.
had a goal. It wasn't I'm thugging for the sake of thugging. I'm a gangster because he put it to you like this. If you're a gangster, you're generally a gangster because your circumstances dictate that that's what you have to do to make money. But
I
it's making
disagree.
money in the street.
I completely disagree with that.
I know, but when you portray a gangster uh, in order to secure fame, right? He doesn't have a gangster background. He doesn't have no street work. He didn't put like I could understand if he was like, yo, I was doing this up until I had this opportunity, and this is just my persona. This is who I was before the fame, but it's not. It's and like we've all said, it's who he became in order to blow himself up in the public eye.
We understand
All
that.
right, hold on. Let
Hold on,
Vulcan say
Solar
you say you
King.
disagree.
Solar King got a
Vulcan,
point.
all right, go ahead, Solar. You bring up, and then Vulcan
Okay,
after
so
that.
I mean, with that being said, my guy, let's just really look into like what the streets entail. I grew up just outside of Chicago. Rockford, Illinois was one of the most dangerous cities in the country. At least according to the statistics, right? Crime rate is always high, always ranking in the top 10 in the most dangerous cities to live in. Now, with that being stated, like we all probably grown up in our own cultures, our own little backgrounds where we come from, where there is a certain degree of character that you got to portray to, I guess, get just to get to school or just to get by or just to go out in the neighborhood and feel like you're not going to get picked on because a victim is always out there waiting to be the victim. Like, and if you're going to basically take over or be, I guess, a part of that community, you need to pick your I guess your poison. Which side are you gonna be on? Now with Pac, I think Pac chose his side when he decided to, I guess, elevate himself to the highest level that you possibly can get, which is a gangster rapper. He chose that lifestyle. That's what he chose because it made him the most money. And at that time, it was literally the one thing that you can probably get you the most money that you've ever seen because had he stayed just an actor, had he stayed just another man in the hood, he probably would have never achieved the levels that he achieved in those 5 years. That's 5 to 7 years that he was really around that we knew of him as Pop. Like without
I
him,
agree with you 100%.
like I mean,
Well,
without him doing
what did
I.e.,
Solar
anything,
he chose to be a gangster to get famous.
but
hold on,
most
Fresh.
That's what.
Hold on,
people
Fresh.
choose to be. Most people choose
Solar.
to be a gangster, right?
Solar, are you saying that you respect that Pac's gangsterism, or are you saying what are you
I
trying to? If you can
I
sum it up.
respect the fact that I understand why it was a thing and why it even happened. Because if you look back into his story, or if you look back into any person's story who came up, majority of the men that we grown up around that probably chose that lifestyle chose it because they wanted a certain thing out of life. They chose that lifestyle because it was going to give them a certain return. Their ROI was going to be a lot greater had they went down that level. Even though we know a lot of people fall victim because of that lifestyle. It's not a lot of people that win in that game, and he chose to go that route, which kind of met his demise under those same terms. Like he met his demise because of that lifestyle.
All right, Vulcan, go ahead. What's your disagreement with Fresh is?
Well, so I want to say real quickly, I'm gonna make my point. I'm gonna express my disagreement here. I want to say that everybody is doing things for a return on their investment, whatever that is. Becoming a gangster, a thug, whatever you want to call it, you get women, you get street cachet, you get monetary benefits, you get a certain level of respect that squares and citizens don't get. That's all currency. You know, we can split philosophical hairs on how great the currency is, but I don't think any of us will really dispute that at this point. So what I'm saying is right here is that what's my disagreement with Freshly is this. John, do we all respect John Gotti as a gangster?
I was just about to say that.
John Gotti did it for the same reasons why everybody wants to be a gangster.
They grew up in a nice neighborhood too.
Yeah, the Italians, all our favorite movies, gangster movies. I mean, like the thing is, even if you are born in a good 2-parent household in a nice suburbs, your parents may still be upper middle class, right? At best, that kid is still broke when they leave their parents' house at 18, 19 years old. If they decide to go be a gangster because you can make some good money doing that, you can get social proof, you can have a posse, a gang, a mob, depending upon how you want to word it. All those things are a social currency that's going to equate to monetary gain for you if you use it the right way. So my point is saying I don't see the difference between Tupac doing what he did or any other gangster. In my last 5 seconds of my point, Noriega, Jay-Z, all the guys we all respected gangster-wise, Boosie, all of these guys, Fat Joe, have all came out in their 40s and 50s and said they chose that lifestyle because they wanted the money, they wanted the girls, and they wanted the clothes. The same reasons why Tupac would do it, the same reason why John Gotti would do it. And respect amongst your peers.
You can go back into the beginning of time, and anybody who's held that position in society has did it for all the same reasons. They wanted the lavish lifestyle. They wanted the gold. They wanted the jewels. They wanted the women. They wanted to take over people's territory, and they wanted to be able to show their power. Like they wanted respect throughout the world. They wanted to be known. And anybody who's achieved that level of success in that field has that, and we could probably remember their names because a lot of people that never achieve those goals, you don't know who they are, good or bad. Like you don't know who these people are. You only know the people that actually achieve that. And if you got to be a gangster to or portray a thug or I guess rob a city from all their resources, then you're doing it. And now you got a name.
That's good. That's good. I'm gonna go with anybody want to add on to it?
My point is, I just to round it out, I don't misunderstand why he did it. I just said I didn't respect it. That's it. I understand perfectly his motivations for doing it.
Can we hear why?
Because it wasn't necessary. He was already in movies before he started thugging. He already had opportunities. He already had a way out. Basically, what everyone is saying is like he wanted to be more famous than he was going to be, so he decided to adapt a gangster role. He did.
Hold on. According to the record, and I know there's a bigger Tupac fan. I'm a big fan of his music, but not so much a fan of his life and his history. So I don't know that part. But when he was a Digital Underground, before he was even on movies, he was already beating up DJs.
Oh, so you're saying fighting makes you a gangster?
I'm saying,
well, if that's the case.
Definition, it's a violent ruffian, right? I mean, a gangster is somebody who's a violent, who's coercive, right? I mean, that's my understanding of a gangster. Unless you want to say gangster, somebody who's in a gang. If we're going to say that, then okay, he probably wouldn't qualify. He wasn't in a gang. But if it's gangster and thug, he's a violent ruffian. He's somebody who's rough with violence. He coerces people with violence.
Okay.
What would be your definition of a gangster?
It will be similar to that. Again, I'm not misunderstanding what he was or what he was trying to portray. I just said I don't respect it.
Yeah, but see, this is my concern within the Black community is that as long as we have this, if you don't become a drug dealer or a gangster or this for right reasons that we can't quantify, there's no rubric to measure this thing, then we just have this witch hunt of who's a gangster and who's not.
Let me chime in real quick.
Yes, sir.
So assuming Freshly. Assuming that someone who never grew up in that lifestyle wanted to be rich and famous for selling the most, killing the most, or I guess mistreating more people in that terms of being a gangster. Somebody who never, would you respect that, or they just chose that?
No, someone who didn't have to, someone who just woke up and be like, you know what, I'm gonna be a gangster.
Who
Your
has
circumstances.
to? Nobody's gonna ask that question. Nobody's gonna ask the question of can we name 2 or 3 people in history that had to be gangsters? I want to hear, like in the panel, help your brother out, your Vulcan brother out. Who had to be a gangster in human history?
I can only respect the person that had. If you say I had to be a gangster, that means you slaughter my whole family, and now I gotta go. Cool. Like that.
Even then, you don't have to be. But I'm talking about your motivation. Hey, I don't have another skill set. I don't hoop. I don't act. I don't have money from my parents. Hold on. You asking me to quantify. Listen, what I see.
Name somebody who had to be a gangster, somebody that you respect and said he had to be a gangster. He had no, based off what you're saying, he had no other skills. and his motivation
Right.
was purely off the muscle of the hustle of the gangster life or thug life, whatever it is. Can you name one or two people just so we can, because that would help out more than anything else. I'd be like, oh, okay, I can look this guy up and be like, okay, this is the metric from Freshly's perspective on what qualifies as a gangster that's genuine.
Thanos.
Thanos to me would be a good example, but he actually came from his dad was a genius. Thanos was a genius, but anyway, sorry, go ahead. His dad was like a political figure and a scientist, I believe.
Thanos was ostracized by an entire culture. That's why because he was ugly.
He had the mutant gene. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, he was ostracized by all his people, everyone, because his mother tried to kill him. His mother tried to kill him directly after birth.
Yeah,
bro. I'm just stating that would be the only person that
do we get a name or not?
I don't have a name for you. It's just I respect the motivations. I don't think based on his history, Tupac never had to do what he did. He already had an avenue out of the hood. He already had a way out. I don't respect niggas who could have gone to the league who decide to turn gangster as gangsters. I respect them as people, but oh man, listen, Pee Wee Kirkland. Man, you could have gone to the league, bro. You didn't have to do this. You chose to do this. So whatever reason is that you chose to do this are not authentic. You didn't do it because you had to. That means that means
Rocket and Star Lord.
I got some real sauce for y'all then. I got some real sauce. How do you feel about Ja Morant?
What do you mean? Listen,
is he your gangster?
No, he's not.
He has all the means to not do any gangster shit. I mean, gangster stuff.
No, I agree with you. I think it's all cap. If anybody would tell me that Ja Morant is a gangster, I would have to disagree. Because here's the thing. He was completely out of his situation before he started doing that on a national level. Like, what are you doing that for? I don't respect it. I think it's false.
Become gangsters. Because they want to keep the image that they can have the world at their disposal. I can have this done. I can do what I want. I have the most money. I have all the women. And in our culture, the culture, we glorify more of the wrong than the right.
Yeah. I think y'all are mistaking my lack of respect for my lack of understanding of motivation. I don't misunderstand why they do it. It makes perfect sense to me, but it's what I call cap.
May I interject?
I don't respect the motivations. I don't respect the reasonings behind it.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
We still haven't got any real examples of guys you actually respected. That you gave respect to.
We don't know none of their names.
Okay. All right. So let's just move on. Y'all ready for the next video?
Yes, sir.
Let's do it.
All right.
We gotta bring some wine out next time, you guys.
Yeah.
Everybody gotta have a healthy wine glass off of that.
Let's go.
We don't have an audio right now.
You gotta turn it up. I can't hear it at all, G.
Sound is not good on y'all?
Mm-mm.
Turn it up.
Hold on for a minute, y'all.
I guess we'll keep on going while he's getting that ready. So yeah, I mean that's the main thing. I think for me it was just about getting those, because I hear that echoed a lot, and I wasn't trying to so much just base it all off on what you're saying, Freshly, but I do hear that echoed in the community all the time about, he's real, he's not real, and I just always wonder what rubric are we using to determine that, because Fat Joe just came out. Fat Joe's well respected as a gangster and a thug and whatever else, and a drug dealer within the hip hop community, and he's come out and admitted like over 90% of what he was rapping about wasn't even real, from what I heard. So I mean, like, and a lot of guys, Jay-Z told. He was on this white station in London or something like that. He told everybody, like, we told everybody we had to do it, but we just wanted girls and clothes. And because even the white guy even said, like, I know you did it because you had to. And he was like, that's what we told everybody, but we just wanted girls and clothes. And my whole thing
you can get a job at Burger King or McDonald's or, some minimum wage job. You can do that, but respect is a hell of a drug,
You ready on the video,
Q, go ahead.
It's like what Scarface said: money, power, and respect. That's what the
All right, so ready for the next video.
We ready.
We ready.
We ready.
Come on now. Oh.
You gotta finish it up.
Man, who did the sound check earlier, man?
Microphone check, like 2 1 2.
Well, yeah. So I guess we'll keep on going. I guess
Do we have
Maybe skip this video. Maybe it's just the video.
Well, the first video wasn't playing like that either. But I mean, it wasn't playing sound the second time we played it right now.
Put that thing in rice. Put it in rice.
No, going back to the conversation about, do you have to be gangster? Do you respect the gangster? Do you respect Will Smith over Tupac? I mean, to round it all off. I mean, I respect the man that's putting, I guess, his best
food on his family table.
I mean, I ain't gonna say food on his family table. But I respect the man that's gonna put, I guess, the effort into, I guess, accomplishing the goal that he set out to get. Like,
I respect them both as men. Yeah.
I mean, do I judge you for what lifestyle you chose? I can, but I choose not to, because that's
right.
I was listening to the Blueprint earlier, and Jay-Z
such a classic album.
The classic. He said, "What you mad because he sell down and
you sell?"
Like, come on now, like, you can't be mad for a man who chose to go out here and do nothing, and a man who chose to go out here and do something.
So I got a question for you then, Solar Can. Whenever you're ready, I got a question.
Yeah, go ahead, ask me right now. I'm here.
So you mean to tell me somebody who's involved in child trafficking, you wouldn't judge them if they're making that's how they're putting food on their?
I mean, but that's unethical overall. I mean, when you talking about unethical, you putting somebody's body or some person in harm's way, then no, I don't respect that at all. I don't respect people that go out there and massively killing random people. But do you respect the man that slaughtered 37 people at war? Like, he had to, in one regard, he had to go out there to come back home to his family. The other regard, he chose to go out there and slaughter 300 people just because he could, because they weren't going to fight back. Like, I can respect someone who has to do something in the same sense as Freshly. Like, I can respect if you have to do certain things in that nature. But what I'm not going to respect is if you chose to go out there and put people in harm's way just because of your own personal vendetta against the world.
So basically, wanting killing versus killing out of necessity.
Of course, like, I mean,
yeah.
So I'm asking that question because for me, when people make the statement, they say, like, I'm not going to judge how another man puts food on his table. But then when I bring up an extreme, I could bring up rape, I could bring up homicide, I could bring up trafficking. Then they'll go, oh, but when it comes to that. But then
those are unethical morals that, I mean, if any one of us was into that or openly, actively into that, then it'd be like, I don't think that would even be a conversation that we would have to have, because it wouldn't be a conversation to be had. Like,
what about robbing or jacking? Like, is that ethical? Like, is that's core to the thug culture, right? Like,
I mean, that's
no,
you're the lowest person in the totem pole in the community if you rob or steal.
DMX was
Hey,
widely esteemed for that.
that's a
DMX is well known for that, and like he openly
for
talks about
kick doors or for thieving. Because
all of it.
if you a jacker, people in the street folks respect your violence, your pendant for violence. If you are a thief, right? If you steal things, if you're an opportunistic thief, I'm gonna steal a car when nobody's in it, or I'm gonna break in somebody's house, or I'm gonna snatch purses. Like Solar King was saying, those people exist on the lowest rung, really right above what child molesters and
I think
rapists.
they're on the lowest rung in the broader society, but I think within the context of the black community, they're almost at the top.
No,
DMX is more respected as a man than Mace is, because DMX is well known to rob, to actually be a murderer, to really be about that life. Boosie,
yeah, but that's why I made that differentiation.
zero.
They respect the violence. It's not the thievery, it's the violence behind it.
The violence and the bullying, because obviously the soldier who killed Bin Laden was can be in violence. We don't respect you we respect you because of the violence when it comes to doing things unethical. Like DMX is respected for his unethical practices. There's people that were in the military that rap that we don't care about what they're talking about. You know, we're talking about guys who are doing things in the streets under the law, vigilante style, for their own benefit, not even for the benefit of the community, for their own benefit of women and clothes and money and stuff like that.
Yeah, but most people respect soldiers and spec op dudes for the same reason they would respect DMX. Maybe not the same way, but for the same reason.
Nah, I think they respect DMX because he's a violent ruffian. He's crazy. He's a menace.
Yeah, they respect somebody who went to war for the same reason. Oh, you was over there killing niggas? Yeah, that's crazy.
You really gonna say that?
Yo, show me what you had, the AK, you had the AR? Man, I bet you was mowing them joints down there. Like it's the same feel, it's the same, they hold them in the same esteem. Now, obviously DMX is a street. DMX exists in the street. He exists in street culture more so than a soldier was. But what I'm saying is they respect DMX for the violence. The same way they were that level of violence, the penchant for violence that they both have is what garners them respect. DMX can also rap. DMX also stole. He was also a thief. But my point is, if you separate thievery from the violence, DMX is not getting the respect that he gets, the fear that comes with DMX coming down the block because he steals things. He gets that respect and that fear based on the fact that he's willing to hurt you to do it.
But the original statement that sparked this little tangent was, I can respect certain elements of the thug life, but not the unethical ones, like, you know, human trafficking and things like that. So to me, my mind is thinking like, okay, how come we said we weren't going to judge another man's lifestyle or another man's come up, right? So it's okay to judge human trafficking and great, but then somebody that says, hey, come up out them shoes, or, you know, stomps a guy, takes his bag, you know, like that's not worthy of judgment from the black community or from us.
No, I think it should be. I think it's all reprehensible behavior. To Solar King's point, he did say he chooses not to judge certain things. So I don't think respect is off the table or judgment is off the table. I just, like everybody, you pick and choose.
Just want to
resonate with you.
Let me chime in when it comes down to like, okay, there's certain things that no one respects, and you would think that, oh, somebody has to respect this. Go to the wrong place, end up in a place that's, I guess, governed by the inmates themselves, and they'll tell you what they don't respect. They'll let you know what the streets or what the in between those walls don't respect. They don't respect the men that are taking advantage of young people. They don't respect people that take things from women. They don't respect any of that, and that's a known fact. And if you go in there with that on your forehead, you're gonna get tatted for sure.
To that point, do Does prison set our
No,
standards on? Okay,
no,
There
prison
is a
doesn't set
is
that.
that the
That's
standard
the
of
prison
respect?
rules.
there
But
is
no, prison
back.
sets the precedence on what's the worst of the worst in people. That sets the precedent of that. But at the same time, you're looking at, okay, what on the outside of those walls, who sets that? The streets set that. Now, mind you, a lot of the men that come in and out of the streets are usually the ones that are in and out of prison. They come in and bring some of the same, I guess, rules and terminology back home. But society is really based on ethics and respect, and also being able to give people the opportunity to do right the first time, and then you get an opportunity to do wrong, and some people take advantage of that.
I,
And I
I
know that, and a lot of cultures have like civilians and non-civilians. So I know there's some gangsters or whatever that have that kind of code. But you know, my thing is like
Not the
it
black.
just seems super like everybody's making it up as they go, which is what I have a problem with. It's like
oh, they are.
some people say, "Oh, there's the line here at human trafficking. Okay, now the line is robbing certain types of people, but I can rob these type of people. Now the line's here where we only rob from the poor. I mean the rich, you know. So it's just like it's just kind of chaotic, but it is what it is.
No. So I
Yeah.
want to go ahead and play the next video, y'all. Still dealing with some technical difficulties with the sound. So I'll play the next video right now for everybody.
You got the captions.
Thought that being white was being smart. And that means that being black is being what? You see, before 1954, we didn't act this way. Being black meant being the best. In every area that we've been allowed to participate in, we've always been the best. So in science, was Imhotep or Granville Woods or Louis Latimer or George Washington Carver? We're talking about black excellence. If it's in business, we have strong men and women there as well. Reginald Lewis or John Johnson at Ebony Magazine. In education, Carter G. Woodson, Benjamin Mays, and Mary Petrell. You name the area, we've been good at it. What about in the movies? Who has the greatest box office attraction? Eddie Murphy. What about sports? Who's the best basketball player? Michael Jordan. Who hit more home runs than anybody in baseball, including more than Babe Ruth? Hank Aaron. Whatever the area is, science, business, writing, music, TV, movies, you name the area. All we've ever needed was the opportunity. If you thought that being white was being smart, then that means that being black. So let's start off with JP and then we'll hit Solar afterwards. JP, what you got on that?
Well, I think that he's talking about blacks are the best in all these areas. A lot of those people, I'm just going to be real, I didn't really know a lot of the names. I didn't have time to research them. So between my mind's like, okay, how do I know that these people that he's saying are the best are the best? That was my initial thought. And then, but yeah, so.
Solar, what you got?
Let's look at society and from, I guess, where the black or African American culture has been over the last 400 odd years in this country, and before this country, if you really look into history, or before this country was claimed by the Europeans. There was already scholars, there were already athletes, there have always been a ton of people of the culture from that back then that have excelled at being some of the best inspiring people on this planet and throughout time. And now that we have I guess records of that, and you can see from recent history that all of our culture athletes, if you give us the opportunity to be in the politics, we can actually make changes that actually help our communities. If you give us the opportunity to be on the forefront of any mission, we can excel in it. Look at the Tuskegee Airmen. Like we have the ability to achieve greatness, but we were never given the proper tools or given a light shined on us to be truly, I guess, valued for that. And now one of the best things about our culture is we know it, we have it, we just have a problem with, I guess, banding together and really pulling it to the forefront.
Freshly?
I think he's right. I'll pretty much echo what Solar Ken just said, to the point that I don't know that I don't know that everybody that he named was the best in their particular field. And I don't know if that was his point per se. What I do think he's saying is, given the opportunity based on American history, based on how we've been viewed as a people, right? Based on our skin color, right? Oh, their intelligence is substandard. They're dumb. They don't know how to do this. They can't do that. We wouldn't let them in this industry because they would never thrive because they're stupid. They're not as smart as their white counterparts, right? That would be the dominant thinking in the past. And what he's saying is essentially, we've shown and proved that in every area, in every aspect, that we've been given an actual opportunity. And he didn't even say a fair opportunity or a real opportunity, just an opportunity. We've shown that we can excel and reach a level of excellence. To that point, I agree. I don't. Go ahead.
CQ?
Yeah, that's the end of it. I like sports, and that's it.
CQ?
Did he fall asleep?
No, I'm here. I'm just what it sounds like I heard him say was that there was a time where Black folks were in the dark about their potential. And I agree to that. I think a lot of the thinking from what everybody else was saying is there was a certain time where there was even Black folks believed that about themselves, due to the brainwashing. I think there was definitely a time, when that was taking place. But, like you said, based on opportunity, whatever opportunity was given, it's been shown that, Black folks can excel at anything that they put their mind to. I mean, just like anybody. So, I agree. I agree what he's saying. I don't see any problem with what he was saying. I think he was just trying to educate, because I have a lot of friends that are still in the dark about their capabilities and what they think they can do. I mean, white and Black, folks that I hang out with, they're still in this brainwashed mentality that they have to think and live a certain way, have to wear their clothes a certain way, have to talk a certain way, have to present themselves a certain way around certain and they're really just holding themselves back from what they can actually accomplish. So I definitely agree with what he said. Given the right opportunity, you can definitely excel to the highest degree.
Yeah.
It sounded like he was offering some kind of. And I'm sorry to jump back in. I just wanted to add this little thing before I let Vulcan go, but it sounded like he was also talking about like superiority, though, right? If it was just like Black people can achieve as well, and Black people are capable as well, then I would have. But it was like Black people have been the best. So I don't know that that is, organized down the lines of skin color. I think it's more to do with opportunity and putting in culture more than color of skin, as far as like who becomes the best. But it sounded like he was talking about color of skin.
I agree with that. I think the reason he was talking about color of skin, because one thing I wanted to point out, if you look at how he's dressed and how he the video, this is probably something that was made back in the 70s or 80s. So they were fresh off of us being discriminated against and not given certain opportunities based on our color. So I don't think that particular sentiment has merit in today's day and age, or I should say as much merit in today's day and age. But I think back then he's essentially saying, and I separate from CQ a little bit on what he said. While I agree with his overall sentiment, I separate. I don't think he was talking to Black people. I think he was talking to what I'll call the others, or those who would discriminate against Black people based on their skin color, to say, hey, listen, you've been literally saying, and that, it's well documented, that based on how we look, that we are, substandard, and that we're not able to achieve this level of excellence, when there's several examples that exist in history that anytime we're given the opportunity, even if it's not the fair opportunity, right? He brought up Hank Aaron. Hank Aaron played in a time in baseball when it wasn't okay to be black, right? Blacks weren't heralded the way we are in sports today. Like he had to struggle. He's saying like, just given the opportunity, we can be as good or better than those who would seek to kind of oppress us based on how we look. That's why I said I think that sentiment exists back then and has merit back then because they were fresh off of that type of environment. I don't know if it translates well into modern times.
I think that it does translate very well because if you think about it like this, right, and not to put another culture down, not to put another race of people down, we are one race of people on this planet. We are a human race, but obviously we come from different national backgrounds, different regions of the world. When you look at how the world has, I guess, deemed being a person of color as being the wrong person on this planet, and then being in the sense of like, okay, the opportunities that a lot of us wasn't afforded because of our skin color, the discrimination that we all face, you put us at the same starting line with any other person with the same goal at hand, and you watch how under this with the same, I guess, ambitions on being the same, I guess, reaching the same goal, I guarantee you a lot more of us get to the mountain peak before a lot of other people. Because knowing what I know, knowing what I've seen in our communities, we're dying for the same opportunities. Now, mind you, a lot of people don't take the same opportunities, and because they've already been brainwashed, they've been put in certain environments where they don't see a way out. They don't see the light. I grew up, like I said, just outside of Chicago. I understand that segregation is real. Chicago is one of the most segregated cities in America still. Like South Side is predominantly black and Hispanic. F that. There's a speckle of white culture in there. Then you have the north side of Chicago, which is predominantly white. Like you understand that segregation is still a really big thing in most of these communities, especially throughout the Midwest.
Do you think that's self segregation now though? Do you think white folks don't live over there because they can't, or black folks don't only live there
No,
because that's the only place they can live,
no,
or
no,
is that
no.
just a historical precedence that's already been set?
The historical that's been set based on the economic discrimination that has been set over the last however long since property has been divided, redlining, all of that, all of those things that were really present at times where housing was affordable, but the discriminatory practices, you literally can just see it in the news right now. Navy Federal, the one of the largest institutions, have literally 50% of their black applicants have been denied, not because anything else, because they were black, not because they didn't qualify, they couldn't qualify. It's some it was they were just denying people because of their race alone.
Yeah.
They didn't even know.
Well,
So
I'll say this to that point because I haven't followed that closely, but the studies that I've seen is that black banks deny blacks at a quicker
how many
rate
black banks are there?
than what white banks do.
How many black banks are there?
Not that
Like
many.
two.
I do.
There's less than five.
But what is
guarantee they're in the worst of the worst neighborhood.
I think James's
we
point is
still
that
got to address the point though. We still got to address the point.
I think to James's to Vulcan's point, he's saying that I feel it's based more on culture and historical evidence at this point than it is skin color.
Yeah, but if you tell me,
if black banks are denying their own people at the same rate as white banks, then it would stand to reason that maybe there is a statistical reason or a metrical reason that that's happening. I'm not saying it's not happening because of skin color, but I would like before I jump on that bandwagon, I would need to hear from the black banks like, hey, why y'all doing that?
Yeah, and my whole point is saying when we ask the question of how many are there, if they are rejecting black applicants at the same or higher rate, then do we really need to multiply more of those? According to, if we really think that that's wrong, that they reject black applicants, probably just keep it just two or however many there are.
No. If you think about it from the standpoint of, okay, there are black banks that are denying more black people than I guess white banks or fucking Another Grace of Banks. I don't know.
Ooh, no.
I'm sorry. any culture. My apologies. I'm probably get canceled for this. But with that being said, assuming that there's only 2 black banks and the majority of their clients are probably black people, they're going to deny a proportion of black people.
You're saying those numbers are skewed, right? I agree
like
with that.
statistics can be tricky if you don't factor in all the variables and you don't take into account like
Assuming that a black
I
bank
agree with
is in
you.
a black community and they already discriminated on black people to begin with, how many Asian or European homeowner or business owners are going to bank with that bank to begin with? It's a black bank. They already discriminating against black people.
That's a fair point. Vulcan, counterpoint.
Well, I mean, I would say I don't know if we really even wrestled with the first point yet. I mean, if we're talking about rejecting black applicants, what do we have to say about the fact that black banks reject black applicants at a higher rate than white banks do?
Oh
But
wait, is that a substantiated fact?
do you put
Yeah.
that black bank? Do you put that black bank
Most
in a
most
white
most
neighborhood?
most sources would say significantly higher rate. I
No,
didn't say significantly, but most statistics that I've seen show that black banks reject black applicants at a significantly higher rate.
Well,
I
that
didn't
goes back to what
I didn't use the word significant though. Just for the record, I took it down a step.
I think
Okay.
Freshly had said something earlier. Y'all, it's kind of the discussion's been going on, but it was something along the lines of like, as far as the precedents that was already set, it just made me think about this stereotype that has been placed on black people over the years based on the oppression, the different things that happened years ago, to where we're at this place today where these things are happening even in our own communities, where black banks are denying black applicants.
So you're basically saying Stockholm syndrome. You're saying that these educated blacks who are fiscally responsible and went into the world of finance to make a living for themselves are brainwashed into hating their own people and therefore denying blacks that
No. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that based on the way that black folks have been oppressed through the years and years, there's a point, there's a place where we're at where the poverty level, it's put people in a place where you can't trust, I guess, the payback in a sense. So I'm saying, based off of the things that have happened to black people throughout the years, it's put us in this place of where we don't have the economics, we don't have the right tools needed in order to gain the trust of the banks, in order to them to trust that money. So I don't know, like,
okay, but again, that's shifting. I know Solar wants to make a point here, but that's shifting the focus. Right now, we brought up Navy Federal Credit Union and saying that they were rejecting blacks specifically on their color of their skin. And what I'm saying is that when we look at black banks, they do it at a higher rate than white banks do. Are we gonna hold them to that same standard, or they get a pass?
Well, but I think the point that CQ was making, which I think was a valid point, is that assuming that white banks and black banks are rejecting black applicants for the same reason, it would stand the reason that the evidence points to the fact that because of years and years of past discrimination, there's not a lot of black applicants who would be
qualified. Maybe that
qualified.
Or it could be cultural. I mean, again, we can postulate different reasons, and I want a Solar Ken to come in. You had a point.
No, I got you. Look, so understanding that in our culture, or in the black culture, or in the African American culture, we tend to, I guess, get to a certain level and then forget about everybody at the bottom, right? So assuming that you got to the place of, now I own a bank, I am a CEO, or I have one of the largest stakes in one of the black-owned banks in our community. Now, mind you, that bank is most likely going to be sectored in a black community in that particular city, Chicago, Houston, Dallas, or whatever.
Robbed.
It's going to be in that black community. The majority of the people that are in those communities are just average people with average credit scores, with average paybacks, and they're going to be at a more higher risk because the average person is subjected to whatever the economy basically subjects. Like if the economy is down, the average person's income drops to a certain degree. They tend to miss on payments. They're late. So assuming that they're gonna have a lower credit score because they're basing their business on a black on the black culture or the black community, they're gonna have to deny a lot more people because all their applicants are most likely of color.
Again, my whole thing is I don't disagree if we get into the why. All I'm saying is right here. We can't just stop it at there because initially it was black people are being rejected because they're black. But now when it comes once I block the black institution, and there's over 40 black-owned banks in this country, over 40 black-owned banks in this country. And so the thing is that when you have that many banks, what ends up happening is that now we're going to say when they do it at a higher rate, we're going to go, oh, let's look into the reasons why. And we're
How'd you get that information?
And we're going to give them the benefit of the doubt on top of that. You see what I'm saying?
Where'd you get the number of banks from? How'd you get that?
I mean, just research, learning, caring about the topic.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is a few minutes ago you didn't know you didn't know how many black banks there were. You actually asked the question.
I didn't.
And then you came up with the figure of 40 right now. Where'd you get that information? What's up, Capra Facts?
I didn't ask the question.
So assuming that there are 40 black banks in America, right? How many institutions? How many white, European, Asian, Middle Eastern owned institutions are there in the country? A lot more than 40. They get a lot of applications from all different cultures, and they all come in with.
But Solar, what I'm saying is why didn't you care about the why when it was the white institution, but you cared about the why when it was the black institution?
So I care about the why period in the why.
You didn't mention it earlier.
So I'm saying the why for the, I guess, let's say Navy Federal. I understand that in certain cases you're not going to qualify for a multitude of different factors when you're trying to, I guess, get approved for anything with any institution. White, black, Asian, no matter what the culture is, you're going to have to qualify with certain credentials, and it's going to look a lot different based on who you are, what background you come from, and what do you have to offer when it comes down to collateral, when it comes down to any institution. So assuming that a lot of the collateral that you're going to put up in the black communities with a black bank is probably not going to be worth what they're looking for when it comes down to investing into that community. Going to Navy Federal, for instance, that's a government-funded institution that's supposed to be for the people, a credit union of sorts, and yet they're
for military members.
Yeah, for military members and active family, and I'm pretty sure anybody who has what you want to call it, has an account. I got a Navy Federal account. I know somebody that has that was in the military, and that's how I got into that branch. But at the same time,
in today's generation.
So I was gonna say, anybody have any closing comments on that? Great point, Solar. Anybody have any other points on that?
I want to introduce something, and we can loop back on this at some point in time. I don't want to talk about it, but I do want to introduce an interesting perspective. What do we think about the possibility that black banks and black businesses, black entities disassociate with black people more often based on the comfort and the, what's the word that I'm looking for? The comfort level and the expectations that come from being just black, i.e., you're a black-owned institution. Let me get a discount because I'm black, because you black, we black together. Or it's a black-owned, it's a black-owned bank. When they give me this loan, I feel more comfortable defaulting on this because they black, I'm black. They might support me. They might give me a little more leeway, as opposed to if it was a European owned facility, I might be more.
You're You're saying the homeboy hookup in a nutshell.
Yeah. But
Okay,
to my point,
are you saying you want to talk about it right now or go to the next
no,
video?
I'm saying I don't. It's just a perspective that I want to introduce that everyone can kind of muddle over as we move along. We can have that conversation on a different pod.
Okay, cool. Yeah, everybody keep that in mind right there. The homeboy hookup for Black-owned establishments.
All the new black thugs, all the new white supremacists. These people are oppressing everybody black in the community. They even convince you that no snitching. Dude, how is he snitching? He's a civilian. Like, you in his hallway selling crack and he's telling you that he's a snitch. And that thing has literally been, like, literally brainwashing all of us to think this. And I'm like, yo, this is stupid. He being a civilian, he paid rent. Why should his child or her child go to school and get harassed every morning? At this point, white supremacists on vacation and left the keys to niggas. Black thugs are the new white supremacists. These people are oppressing everybody black in the community. They even convince you that no snitching. Dude, how is he snitching? He's a civilian. Like, you in his hallway. So
I was gonna make sure I caught the first part of that. Solar, you want to hit that first?
I'm fine with it. When it comes down to, like, I guess black people being the new white supremacists, there is a letter that was written a long time ago, and we all know what it is.
Yeah.
That basically talked about how to control these group of individuals.
It's the Willie Lynch letter.
Of course, you know what I mean. And with that being stated, like, knowing that letter and knowing what that letter detailed on how things were supposedly going to be ran, you're going to allow this group of individuals to self-destruct on their own accord after you put the plays in motion. Once you build that snowball and roll it down that hill, the snowball effect allows everything to grow into massive proportions. And now that we've entered into the early 2020s, you see the effects from the early 1900s, like from being told that we weren't shit, we're never going to be anything, to being, I guess the media telling us that we're all thugs and we're not trustworthy. Now that we're sitting in this day and age where social media is a presence, and we do have a big presence on social media, we control a lot of the trends that happen. One of the biggest trends that you could put out there is being a thug. Going back to our first topic, being a thug is cool.
Is it because I'm a thug?
Yeah, I mean, being a thug is cool. Young thug.
Could it be my bag of jeans, my go-to? No, go ahead.
Yeah, all of that being stated, like, that's a real thing. And of course, they can sit back and have everything on autopilot and still run the banking systems. They can still run the police stations and still influence all the buying of the illegal substances. How do you think the guns get into the community? Niggas don't. Black people don't make guns. Like, better yet, name a black gun manufacturer anywhere.
No. I think the question you really want to ask is, do black people buy guns? And the answer to that is yes. I don't think you need to have a manufacturer that looks like you to get a product in your neighborhood.
Yeah, I mean, of course, black people buy guns, but the world buys guns.
But to my point, that's how guns get into the neighborhood.
Yeah,
because niggas do buy guns.
They definitely buy guns, but they buy guns with it. That too, but a lot of the times they get bought from illegal merchants that look like somebody's hillbilly uncle in the middle of Alabama that has a truckload of misfiring bad pistols that were just dropped off because they were a bad batch.
Yeah, like, but that hillbilly don't make guns either.
He doesn't make guns. He sells them.
Let's
a gun
seller.
To
people who buy them.
Yeah, but at the same time,
he's not forcing those guns in the community 9 times out of 10, because that hillbilly, he can't survive in the hood. The hood got to leave the hood. You got to leave. You got to go outside of the neighborhood to go meet that man and get those.
No, and I agree with you to a certain degree, because those guns get pushed into those communities, and and look at Chicago, for example. They're in an abundance of guns where they're buying guns back from regular people. They're buying them back because they're being so at an alarming rate from some, like I said, back office, backwood, gunslinger that has an abundance of inventory. And now, yeah, niggas buy guns, but at the same time, those guns are being forced into. I mean, look at the old.
How are they being forced if we're buying them?
Okay, they're
Paying
being
good money
forced.
for them too.
Of course, but in the black communities, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody says protection is the right to bear arms. One of the amendments of this country, you have the right to bear arms. Everybody
Correct.
wants to be able to protect and
Uh-huh.
provide security for their family or their
Yeah, the Second
neighborhood
Amendment.
or their gang. With that being stated, yeah, you're not forced to buy these guns, but at the same time, if they're going to be sold at a reasonable price, who wouldn't buy these guns if that's the type of lifestyle you're living?
Yeah, that's
Like,
called economics. That's called supply
exactly.
and demand. You're
I'm
so
supplying
as a
demand.
supplier.
Supply and demand.
Okay, but that's cool. I respect
But
it.
but there's no force in that. That's providing a service to people who want to
So
who want the
if those
service.
if those kids in those communities are getting a hold to these switches, so everybody got switches nowadays in Chicago, and you hear it in every drill song. Everybody talk about a Glock 9 with a or a Glock 17, whatever, with the switch on the back, the motherfucking 30,
Glock 30.
the 30 glizzy, 100 round glizzy, all these guns that they having out in these streets,
Right.
with these modifications to them. Those, again, we don't engineer guns. We don't, as a culture, we don't engineer guns. We are giving these guns, and
I want to interject right here just to make sure, because I see a disagreement. So if we can try to, and this for the audience, not for the panel here, but one thing about the Vulcan soapbox, we believe in being articulate and explaining ourselves very well and using reason. So a straw man is when you address somebody's point that's not their real point and attempt to refute it, and then think you defeated the argument when you didn't even address their point. So the opposite of that is the steel man, is when you try to reiterate somebody's point like they said it themselves. Just Freshly and Solo, can y'all just do your best to try to reiterate the other person's point? Can you state the other person's point just to make the disagreement make sure we're on the same page about the disagreement?
Okay. So basically, what I'm saying, to give you an example
No,
of
not what you're saying. Can you say what Freshly's saying, and Freshly, can you say what Solar is saying? Are you able to do that?
I got you. So I got you. I mean, so
just to make sure y'all understand each other. That's steel manning somebody's point, is when you can express their point in your own words. Then everybody understands. Y'all understand each other's points.
I got you.
So, I don't know who wants to go first, but
I'll take it. So for an example, Freshly, like, I get what you're saying. Like, if it's economics that a person will buy guns because it's highly, I guess it's a sought after commodity in that community because of the systems at place. I guess combat that argument with there wouldn't be a system at place had there not been white supremacy in the works to begin with. Like, you assume that, oh, these communities are bad because they're.
Well, hold on. Are you still explaining his point?
He's still point. So essentially, what you're saying is the black community has been partially victimized by the non-black people who are providing weapons in order to further, criminal enterprises and killings of other black people who are black people who look like us.
Of course, I mean, but you look at it like from the same standpoint of, okay.
No, I'm asking, is that your point?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm saying that pretty much.
Okay. And real quickly, Freshly, did Solar, did he encapsulate your point really well? Did he was able to state your point pretty well?
No, but I mean, I think he misunderstands what you were asking him to do. But regardless, what I'm saying is it's a supply and demand. This is a business. These are not white people selling guns to black people because they want to harm the black community. These are businessmen. I would bet money, and I don't have any proof or statistics, but I would bet money that the white people who sell black people guns sell guns to white people as well. It's a very, very lucrative business. Now, it's a similar thing to if I am America and I have a bunch of guns and I need to sell these guns, I will go sell guns to people who need guns, right? So I take my guns to a war zone. I say, you know what? We're making a lot of guns. I can sell these guns. Let me take these guns over to Russia and not Russia, excuse me. Oh yeah, Russia. And who is Russia at war with right now?
Ukraine.
Ukraine. So
Rest of the
I don't
world.
have a problem. I'm not discriminating against Russians and Ukrainians because I'm selling them guns. I'm fulfilling a need. I'm supplying a demand. So I would say this.
Is there a way to make this a little more
If we
succinct
would
so he can
stop
address?
utilizing these guns to kill each other, I think the market would dry up. I don't think it's the other way around. I don't think we're killing each other because the guns are being provided. I think
You have a rebuttal for that, Solar? Before we go
Yeah,
to
I mean, I say
CQ?
that the influence of every war is always in the politicians' pockets. It's not because people are usually mad at the other side. It's because of the influence. It makes money to start wars. It makes money to influence gang members to kill one another. Because guess who all makes the money?
what politician is what are politics? How are politics influencing gang violence in Chicago? Walk
Assuming
that
that,
that
okay.
back for me.
That's a bit
So
vague. I was going to ask maybe a more specific one and just say like, what's the racial element? Because your whole point was it was forced on the black community. Freshly saying, how is it forced? I'm offering a product and you're buying it. They're not putting guns. I think Freshly's they're not putting guns to their head saying you got to buy this gun from me.
It might not even be offering. It might be like I sell guns.
Yeah.
Like I don't know that Walmart is offering things to people. They just provide it.
He's asking you to prove the force part of what you're saying, Solar.
Yeah.
okay.
Because you chose to use the word force instead of
assuming that we all have, I guess, been to impoverished poverty areas like that around the nation, wherever you come from, whatever city you in, you understand that the less fortunate are usually the ones who are without. They're usually left out with I guess the worst of the worst circumstances in their neighborhoods. They usually find ways to either take from someone, or they usually find ways to make the best out of the worst situation. Now, in the city of Chicago or in the city of Milwaukee, St. Louis, Detroit, they've all experienced some of the worst what you want to call it, economic turmoil when it comes down to factories and jobs, unemployment levels being extremely high, which cause an issue throughout the community when it comes down to, I guess, lack of resources, lack of education, and then leads it into the point of the streets become the way out.
So you're saying forced by the circumstance, not a person.
The circumstances are all drawn up from the politicians and the decisions that were made behind the scenes to move either companies overseas or to move money from reallocate money from impoverished neighborhoods to communities that possibly don't need the same.
So essentially, you're saying that politics are creating an environment or fostering an environment where black youth have to buy guns.
Yeah. No, they don't have to. They choose to buy guns because in that environment.
That was my point, though.
Yeah,
that was my point. Guns are not being forced into the black community. The black community is seeking guns because that's the avenue that they chose.
In a war zone, right?
Uh-huh.
If your enemies have an upper hand on you, you've already lost. So the only way to, I guess, win a war that hasn't been decided yet is to gain more arms, more resources than the opposite side.
It's a supply and demand. The enemies look like each other. Gang violence in Chicago and places like Chicago is predominantly black on black. White politicians or white hillbillies or white supremacists are not pushing guns into the community. They're providing them because that's what's happening. Let me go.
This is a good one.
CQ's are patiently waiting. Let's CQ what you
No, this is a good one. This is a good one because I agree with both. Like look, Freshly, I agree with you saying for sure. It is supply and demand for sure. Like you're gonna supply the needs to whoever needs it.
Basic economics.
But I also agree with Solar because this made me think about this video I just saw. I was actually gonna send it to James, It was a project that they did where they put
Vulcan.
this is going to tie into the point of Solar's thought, but they did a project where they put four, I think it was like a group of rats, same breed of rats. They weren't different. They were both all the same, from the same lineage or whatever. They put a group in one box and they put another group in another box. Now, one of the boxes had a whole bunch of fresh water, enough space to live in. They weren't stacked on top of each other. And then the other box had, bad water. There was no, when they poop, they didn't clean up the poop, right? And they let those rats live in there for 4 months.
And they became more prone to violence, right?
Right. The rats that lived in the good one, of course, they put them in a maze. And those rats that lived in the good space were able to get through that maze with no problem. The rats that lived in the bad space couldn't even get through the maze. Now, the point was like trying to see, is this like a genetic thing that happens? What's going on here? So they switched it. They took the good rats that were living in the good spot, put them in the bad spot. 4 months down the line, they did the same thing, and those rats couldn't get through the maze. But the other rats that got taken out of the impoverished environment was able to get through the maze. So there is an idea where we were put in a place where, have you ever heard of the Iran contraband? Where,
of course.
So where Pac brought it up, he said, ship them dope, let them deal the brothers, give them guns, step back, watch them kill each other. So there is an idea where the politic part did use these strategic strategies that put Black folks in a predicament to where they would need weapons to defend themselves. If you put me in an impoverished area where serial killers living right next to me, I'm gonna go get the gun. But that's why I agree with you too, Fresh, as well. It is supply and demand, but it was a setup. So that's why it's tough for me.
Here's the thing. I don't disagree that the circumstances were created, but what I'm saying is, if I leave you in a room, if I lock you in a room for 25 days for a month, and I don't feed you, and then I set a bowl of grapes outside your room and open the door, I didn't force those grapes upon you.
Yeah.
You technically don't have to eat those grapes.
You don't.
If you walk one more room, there's a kitchen where all types of food is. I didn't force those on you, even if I created your circumstance. So to Solar's point, and the only point of his that I was refuting is
Vulcan. My bad. Vulcan.
Yeah. The only point of Solar Kings that I was refuting is that they're not forced. They're not funneled into the community. We leave our community, go get these guns to come back to our community and visit violence upon our community.
I mean, based off of what Big
like I would be more satisfied, or I would understand more.
They were going down the train tracks. He said, there's an interview with Vlad where Big U talked about how before they were into cowboys and they used to just have the revolvers. And he said that one day him and a group of his fellow gangbangers were walking down the train tracks, and there just happened to be shipments of guns just sitting on the train tracks. And they were like, where the heck did these come from? And there was Uzis, AKs. So there is a idea, a guy that actually came from that environment that said these things were just dropped off here without a trace. We didn't have to go to the white guy and buy them. They were just dropped off.
So still supply and demand, because no one gave them to those. No one said this is what I'm saying. When you talk about force, you're essentially removing will from it, right? Definition of force is make someone do something against their will, as in she was forced into early retirement, or make her way through or into by physical strength, as in they broke open by force. When you use the word force, right, and to Vulcan's point earlier, we want to be intentional about our words. While I do understand your overall sentiment, Solar Ken, I don't want to give anyone a way out or a reason to lean on the fact like, yeah, it wasn't forced. It wasn't by will. These people are making a choice. They're making a conscious choice to get these guns. Because here's the thing. I would respect it more if they got the guns and went outside the community and killed outside the community, but they're not. But they're going outside of the community to get guns from white people.
I think Solar has a point, but trying to make it.
No,
yeah, go ahead.
I'm not stating that for you. Like the argument, I'm not saying that hey, they're not picking up these guns and using them on each other because somebody's telling them to go do that. I'm saying the environment is conducive to that type of energy because of the environment that has been created over a period of time. I've never said that, oh, they're forced to shoot each other and forced to kill each other. No, they chose to live this lifestyle because of the gangster image, because they want to take care of a territory that they don't even own. They want to
No,
take
no,
care.
I'm not saying that they're forced to do any of those things. I was saying the guns, like the products, not being forced into the community.
Well, again, it's a supply and demand thing, anything. But if that's the case, we all should quit what we're doing right now and start selling fentanyl. Like we should probably do. That's a lot more lucrative than probably than what we are doing. If we want to look at it in the sense of if it's a supply for it, it's a demand for it, because it's a high demand for opioids and all of these different substances. It'd be way more, I guess, conducive if we just said, you know what, let's go ahead and start selling that. But we're not going to do that because it's not ethical. It's not the ideal way to live our lives. And looking at it, just because it's an opportunity to sell it doesn't mean you have to do it. Same thing
Yeah.
with
No,
these
but
guns.
to your
So
point, that's exactly
let's.
what I was saying.
Yeah, I was gonna say let's give Solo the last word on this one right here, so we go to the next video.
No, but
And
I mean, in reality, I get what you're saying. I'm not saying that once they drop this stuff off, whoever chooses to pick it up, that's on them. But on top of that, the environment was already created years ago. It was already stated. It's already been written.
we'll close
So,
with that
so are
one
you
right
saying
there.
white communities don't have violence within themselves?
Well, for sure. But they, at the same
Are
time,
guns being forced into their communities?
guns are being sold to every
They're
person
not
that buys guns.
sold, but you said forced. Sold is supply and demand. That's basic economics. You want
Again,
something, I have it. Let's exchange goods. Are guns being forced into white communities that are also having war, right? Italian communities, or even Latin American communities. Are guns being forced into those communities as well?
I
Is
would
that like
like
a
to say, I would like to say, we've all seen the show, Snowfall, right?
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Snowfall. I mean, that was a great series, great
Right?
series. But we seen what the man that was running
Teddy.
guns was, huh?
Teddy.
Not even Teddy. It was the dude from South America.
Oh
Um,
yeah. You're
the
talking
gun
about
runner.
yeah. I know you're talking about
Yeah, the gun runner. They
yeah.
were
The
all
gun
dropping
runner.
off guns because it was a supply and demand issue. And now, mind you, you don't care what happens with those guns once those guns get sold. I personally don't know who sells the guns, and I don't buy guns, so I can't tell you what's going on, where they're coming from. But I can also tell you that there's an environment somewhere that somebody needs guns, and it's usually an environment in which the community has been underserved by its government. The people that have, I guess, a say in that community don't want necessarily those guns in those communities, but at the same time,
They
who's
need
going
them.
to stop a person with a gun? Another
Right.
person
So
with a
what you're
gun.
saying is it's more of a poor thing than a black thing.
I'm saying it's more of a poverty thing. I'm not saying that he said that video that I guess we're debating on was based off of, oh, is gangsters, the thugs, the new white supremacists, and then we're talking about America. And in retrospect, that's a worldly thing. It happens all over the world. The person with the gun usually wins the fight. The person with the most guns usually wins the most wars. So assuming that we have a community in America like Chicago that is prominently overran with gun violence in the black community is not because of black people who just want to kill black people. It's definitely because there's a missed opportunity to serve that community because of lack of government support or influenced by government support.
It's
And in some sense,
100% because black people want to kill black people. Listen, this country is we're the minority in this country still. This country is jam packed with other people to kill. What are you? Why are you allowing that to be an excuse for black on black violence? They're killing people that live blocks away from them. They go to the
We are.
same schools. They born in
Let's
the same hospitals. They some of them are related to each other. There's no that's not a condition that was created by the government.
no, I'm not saying that the government is
That's a
at fault.
choice those guys are making.
I'm
They
saying the community that at hand, the community.
I agree with both of you guys. This is a really good one right here. I don't know if we're gonna get to an ending. I know James Vulcan's ready to move on, but I definitely agree with Freshly with the supply and demand. You're gonna, I mean, that's just life in general. Like you said, that's economics. But Solar saying, like, I've seen the I guess the plot, if you want to call it, where there is a idea that because
settling with you.
moving on. Viral
Rude.
moment, huh? Hey,
You're rude.
viral moment, dog. Get that viral moment. Oh, Lord. Go ahead.
I have girlfriends in marriages right now who have settled.
See, God don't like ugly. Now you got
My man's making a valid point there. Go ahead.
With
Finish
a
it,
God
nice,
dang.
safe, secure guy. We weren't all.
This lady mouth ain't moved the whole time. She done said at least 3 sentences.
That's a good lady.
Get that man. Wow.
Oh, you better chill.
Wow.
Get canceled before
Yo.
you about to get canceled. What?
All that attracted to. We didn't really want that much.
Hey man, you gotta step your internet game up, man.
That man got to get that fiber.
That Google. What's it called?
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and play
AT&T.
it. I'm gonna go ahead and play it, fellas. Here you go, right here. Hold on, let me get it up. We pull it up.
To us, it's like, well, damn, if you're putting up with it, okay, cool. If you're still here, cool. When you want to go, that's fine. But in the meantime, I got no one else. You're here to give it, cool. I accept. But my God, I see how pathetic you are, and I will definitely use that to my advantage. He'd leave you in a heartbeat if someone better came along.
Hey, Vulcan.
I have girlfriends in marriages.
Okay.
Now, who have settled with the nice, safe, secure guy we weren't all that attracted to. We didn't really want that much. We didn't have any chemistry with. We had sex with because we had to. Because the guy we actually felt passion and chemistry for doesn't want us. Or makes us so emotionally unhinged and erratic that we can't look ourselves in the mirror anymore. Normally, those guys that we settle for don't make it happen. To us, it's like, well, damn, if you're putting up with it, okay, cool. If you're still here, cool. When you want to go, that's fine. But in the meantime, I got no one else. You're here to give it, cool. I accept. But my God, I see how pathetic you are, and I will definitely use that to my advantage. He'd leave you in a heartbeat if someone.
So let's
Hey,
get.
man.
Let's
Hey,
get
why your phone so
CQ.
dirty?
Let's get CQ OG PC, who was patient on the last video, to go first on this one. What's up?
Yeah, Lord, I don't even know what to say about that, man.
Better came along.
It's scandalous.
Yeah, that's what came to my mind. But there is that idea that, of course, like if there's a guy willing to stick around for that, I mean, they're out there. I mean, but do I feel like, I mean, what's the actual question that we want to address for this? What's the topic? I mean, I just
Good question, right?
Your take on the video. What stood out to you that you want to speak about? I know what I want to talk about, but I'm trying to let y'all hit it first.
No, you hit it because we don't know.
Oh, wait, hold on.
First you said I
since-
got some.
No, because mine is gonna be short and concise. It's a sentiment I've expressed oftentimes. Yo, how dare you?
Yeah, it's definitely respectful. I mean, when I heard it, I mean, but you got different types of women out there. Not every woman thinks like that, but of course you have the women that will take advantage of weak men. I mean, there are weak men. What was that book, James? The Vulcan, the book, what was it called?
I might as well just change my name, man.
I already told you, change your name, man. We're struggling out here.
It's hard. Vulcan, man. Vulcan. I'm gonna say it 3 times, man. I'm gonna say it 3 times. But there are weak men out here. I'm gonna say that there are men that will allow women like that to abuse and use them. We all know that abuse isn't just come from men, it comes from women as well. I think that's she sounds like a very woman, uses her significant other.
Somebody's background is
That might be me.
Yeah, but I think it's you. Freshly, you gonna say something?
Yeah, people get away with what you let them get away with. I don't blame any particular group. I really don't like. I mean, I understand why, because it's a novelty. Why we keep seeing videos like this about women, but I think we've suspected for a long time, probably decades, that women are as scandalous, if not more scandalous, than they claim men are. But they just it's a hot topic right now because they're telling on themselves often. So I'm not surprised by her statement. It's something that we've known for a while. But again, they're just confirming it that women are as bad as they say we are.
Solar.
I mean, I honestly, the topic of her discussion, I really don't understand. Like, is she stating that men will put up, or that women will put up with a man that isn't the man that they truly want? Because that's people in general. I think that most of the times we settle for, I guess, average, because that's what we see the most. That's you're most commonly going to be around. Obviously, you want everything that you could possibly get out of a person, and when you're dating or remotely interested in a woman, or vice versa, if she's interested in a man, she's trying to look for the best qualities that she can get for that time period in her life or their life. And I don't see, I guess, all women thinking that way, because most women don't have an opportunity to get with the best candidate. They choose a candidate that gives them the most security. But I see the point of, we as men can do a lot better to provide more security for more women. We tend to usually only give bare minimum just to get by.
Yeah, I think
What do you
for
mean
me.
by we?
Oh.
Just men?
I'm saying men in general. I'm not speaking individual. I wouldn't call us as a panel those men. I actually think that I'm a very man of quality, or I live within my truth. I live within that. But at the
I
same time,
value men.
I ain't gonna say high value, because at the same time I have higher standards. But at the same time, I'm not nothing no other man can be. Like, we all can be the greatest version of ourselves, and I think that we battle with that every day. And most women battle with being the best version of a woman that they can be. And in today's society, a lot of times we tend to, I guess, not let the world see our true potential, because we're still, I guess, working through our own problems. So everybody has their problems.
Yeah, one thing that I want to say in CQ, I don't think we can hear you. But what?
I'm in here.
Okay, there we go. Yeah, one thing I wanted to say is right here. Like, my issue with the video, obviously there's a number of things, but my main thing is just this common thread that I see within our community is this settling thing. It's usually not settling like we think it is. We tend to inflate our own value, and then when we have something or we choose something, we go, "Oh, I settled." No, you got what you were supposed to get. That's right around your level right there. You may be a little bit higher, a little bit lower than your max, but you right around where you should be. Most people are right where they're supposed to be. Natural sorting. It's happening the way it's supposed to go. So, like you say, I settled. Again, you just weren't as good as you thought you were. You weren't as nice as you thought you were. You weren't as attractive as you thought you were. You weren't as feminine as you thought you were. That's the reality of it. So that's my issue. Primarily is her using the word settle, and ladies using the word settle. You didn't settle. That's your level.
All
I
right.
mean, yeah. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
Huh?
No, I said
CQ.
here.
What do you say, CQ?
Kevin Samuels out here, man. I see you.
Yeah, I mean, he used to make that point all the time, man. I mean, that's just, it's common sense, I would think, but
God.
I mean, if you elevate your level, you can achieve whatever, you can obtain whatever you want, right?
no, I mean,
No.
I don't think a lady can elevate her level. You just look how you look.
I mean, when it comes down to looks, that's one thing, but I'm talking about.
Can Precious?
Hey, don't disrespect Dr. Miami like that.
Can Precious can elevate her level to where one of y'all would marry her?
Nah, but that's not my type of woman to begin with.
That's
Wait. But yes, the answer to that question is yes. She can get
How?
inside there. Listen, there's so many surgeries. She can get her nose fixed. She can get liposuction. She can
I
get a
would
BBL. She
never
can get a tummy
marry
tuck.
Precious.
Listen,
Bro,
Precious can get enough surgery that you would not recognize her as the Precious that you are saying you would
Not
marry
true.
right now.
are you personally into women that have
That
plastic
is
surgery?
true.
So
Are you interested in women that alter their bodies, plastic surgery, all these different procedures? Are you into that?
No.
I'm not into that. So
No. But
regardless,
the question was, can a woman elevate?
No, I said, can Precious elevate herself to where one of y'all would marry
No,
her?
but before that, you said a woman can't elevate her value because she looks how she looks, but that's not true because you can easily these days change how you look.
No. I was addressing what Solar said, that somebody, if they believe it, they can achieve it, kind of a thing. I was addressing the believe it that you can achieve it thing. I'm saying no, there are limitations. I'm saying there are hard.
Yeah, and then you identify those limitations as you look how you look. But that's not the end all be all.
But again, I was
You
just
don't
one.
look
I
how
don't
you
want to
look
be long
if you don't want to.
Yeah,
you got to throw money at it.
I would list the number of metrics, but I don't want to be long. I want everybody to be able to speak, so I'm just making it short and succinct. But I'm just saying, I guess using Precious or Miss Parker for the Parker show. No matter what she did, Professor Ogilvy was never gonna like her like that. Period.
But he wasn't into Miss Parker. That's the issue.
He was into black women.
Attractive enough. That's what it was.
Again, but my point is, you can become attractive these days.
No,
you can go.
Can't. Monique has lost a lot of weight. She can't.
You know they started dating in that show, right?
They didn't let. Well, obviously it's a show. You get my point, though. It's a show. What I'm saying.
But Monique can redistribute her weight to be more attractive to Professor Ogilvy based on his standards.
Yeah, maybe more attractive, but there's still a bar. She can go from here to here, maybe even to here, maybe even to here, and still not make it.
Nah, she needs enough money. She can. Keep in mind, there's dudes. There's people who grew up as dudes who look like beautiful women right now.
But they had.
You just need enough scratch, G.
Where's Cameron and Mason?
That's a different episode.
Oh, come on.
That's a different episode, man.
Come on, man. Yeah, I said look like beautiful women. I didn't say they are beautiful women. Calm down.
Dang. Into those things, and if you like people that alter their bodies, then that's one thing. I'm not gonna say that a woman doesn't look amazing with altered features, but I'm gonna say that I'm not looking for that on a daily basis, and I'm not going after that person that's willing to go that far or to the extreme to attain the body that they want. If you're not willing to do it the natural way, you can go get it done against the paid for way, and it's still fine. I mean, I'm attracted to it to a certain degree, but I'm not actively looking for that. There's men that are out here actively looking for a woman with an altered body, with an altered physique.
And I want to address.
So, are we changing the subject to?
Well, I'm saying I've seen women who lost 200 pounds, but their shoulder to hip to waist ratio is still not good enough that men will take them seriously.
Bro, you have to you're talking about weight loss. I'm talking about elective surgery.
Yeah, but I'm talking about your
listen, I'm in the medical field. I've seen the expanses of what you can do under a knife, bro. You can all those things you just mentioned, you can adjust. There's
shoulder to hip to shoulder.
You don't think you can remove bone from the pelvic area, tissue and cartilage? You don't think you can?
What the shoulder?
It's the same. It's made of the same material. You don't think you can shrink your shoulders if you had enough money?
Them shoulders gonna be heavy, boy.
Bro, people.
I haven't seen that.
What I'm telling you is,
I've seen women like Kim K get work, but Kim K already had a good figure, a nice figure already. She just got it in hands. I've never seen Precious is gonna have wide shoulders no matter what surgery she goes through. And the amount of surgery it would take to get her shoulders.
No, but that's the case. It's not no matter what surgery she goes through. It's that Precious kept her wide shoulders because she decided not to have the surgery to to do it. All right,
She
so are
decided.
you saying that those surgeries don't exist? You saying they're not an option?
I'm
Or
saying,
you saying you just ain't never seen it before?
I'm trying to simplify it because I
The
would say
absence of evidence is not the evidence of absence.
yeah. I'm trying to simplify it because I would go as far as to say even if they had that surgery, right? Even if they had it, most men once they realize that this lady's had it will not be accepting of her. She has a limit. My point is she has a limit. She can't reach for the stars. She has a limit. Is my main point is everybody has a limit, especially women have a limit on the kind of men they can get. All those surgeries, she's got to compete with women that had none of those surgeries.
Okay, so here's what I'm saying. You said you look how you look, and that's your limitation.
Like
If you want to stay, but hold on. But if you're saying,
Precious
if
wants
you're
Dwayne Wade, she can have
you're
the surgery.
you are saying that your limitation is how you look, not what people know about you, not what people know about how you used to look. You're saying the limitation is you look how you look. So if Precious looks
That's me
different,
simplifying it. Again, that's me. What I'm saying, my point was addressing what Solar said, which my point was this right here, because he said basically you believe it, you can achieve it. I'm saying no. You can believe things and you can never achieve it. Now again, we can get into the particulars of what that ends up being. I just used looks because it was concise, so y'all can cut in without me being long-winded. But my point is saying that I'm disagreeing with the point that Precious can end up with Dwayne Wade if she wants to, if she works
based
hard.
on how she looks.
Period. You can
okay. So again,
I'm saying Precious can never achieve Dwayne Wade in a relationship. Is what I'm saying.
Okay, we'll say that.
I thought looks.
You said what you said. I'm only responding to what came out your mouth. You said the limitation is you look how you look.
Verified. I'm making it. I'm oversimplifying it so that we can all partake in the conversation. What I'm saying is whatever she would do, looks wise, whatever else wise, she'll never get to where Dwayne Wade would treat her like he treated Gabrielle Union. Is what I'm saying.
Okay.
Y'all disagree with that? Y'all agree or disagree with that?
If Dwayne Wade was into Precious, we wouldn't be having this debate. Like if he liked the big women, if he liked the Moniques and all those type of women,
marry him.
You don't know. We don't know what man would do. I mean, we're assuming that.
Tell him Solar King, he don't know nothing.
I mean, we're assuming that this man doesn't like big women.
Let's look at all the NBA players' wives. How many of them got women that look like Precious after she lost weight?
Again, bro, I can't tell you because I'm not even interested. I'm not even.
Again, we didn't say Precious looks fantastic now because she lost weight. I'm saying Precious has enough. If Precious had enough money, she could look like a different person.
She can
not Precious who lost weight. She could look like Shaniqua. Not like Precious did lose weight. That doesn't automatically make her look better. You're saying her limitations are that she looks how she looks. I'm saying those are not real limits. She can look how she wants, really.
She can't look how she wants. She can look like a chair.
I would be willing to bet money that there's somebody who can make her look like a chair. I bet you money. All she got to do is get a pair of legs attached to her, attached to her butt.
CQ, come on, man. Somebody say something, man. Come on.
We've had this debate already.
Wide enough, I don't know. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you. She could be a comforter, but she could be a lazy boy. She could be a recliner, bro. Chill.
She could be a recliner. She could be a love seat.
I love seat. Hey, yo.
Love seat.
I'm joking though. I think there is a bar.
Okay, sorry. Go ahead, CQ. I was gonna go to the next video. Go ahead.
I do believe in limits. You can enhance your body, but even what Solar was saying, like you're gonna enhance your body, you're gonna do all those things. I think from what you were saying is once you find those things out, that's not your type. Like you're gonna be like, okay, it's not somebody I would think you would pursue to marry. Am I correct when I say that? Solar.
I mean, honestly, not at this point. Like I said, I guess the topic was more or less these women having, I guess, higher standards for these men. At the same time, we have the same standards for these women in order for us to either commit to date seriously with serious intentions.
And I got the next video ready, y'all. Just so y'all know. Go ahead.
Whenever we're ready, I'm ready whenever y'all are. But basically, covering that point is that we're not necessarily against that.
All right, here goes.
My Babylon told me, he was like, Astrology is a metaphor saying that all the planets were in a certain position when you were born. And he was saying that snapshot of where they were at the moment you were born makes you a human galaxy. Babalao told me, he was like, astrology is a metaphor saying that all the planets were in a certain position when you were born. And he was saying that snapshot of where they were at the moment you were born makes you a human galaxy. Babalao told me,
so
he was like,
Solar, what you got on that?
Are we talking about just the theory of astrology, or what it actually means?
Whatever you want to pull from that vid.
Okay, well, I mean, with astrology, it being a snapshot of like what time you were in and what space they were in. I mean, let's be real. Time is an illusion. We don't really know the the ramifications of time over however long this has been in existence. These stars that we look up and see at night, those are obviously and supposedly gases of giant gas balls that were probably long gone billions of years ago. But with that being stated, I do feel like there's a certain energy that you get from, I guess, just being born at times of the year and being aligned with certain frequencies that may have existed hundreds of thousands and if not millions of years ago. And we all are really antennas at the end of the day. I'm big on energy. I'm big on like giving off good energy, and I think that at certain times of the year, me being a Scorpio, I align with some of the Scorpio traits. I think that they have some reflections. I can't sit up and say that they all are evenly matched because people have their own personalities. But at the same time, we all are born under a certain at a certain time of year. So when it boils down to the astrology, I've read horoscopes and it aligned perfectly with where I was in my life at that period of time. And then I read some things that were kind of off. And then I've compared horoscopes with women that I've dated in the past, and being compatible or non-compatible, I found some of those things to be on point and some of them to be point. But at the same time, it really boils down to what kind of I guess character that you possess, because you can be the bad side of all things.
Yeah, CQ, what you got?
Hey man, I come from a long line of me just talking, and that dude was just talking, man. I don't know what that meant. A galaxy. I mean, I don't know, man. That just sounds like somebody just talking. My personal beliefs, I believe in God. I believe I came from, God, not from the stars or the dust or the moon or whatever. So I disagree with him saying that we were a galaxy because we were. It's a metaphor for the time we were born and things of that nature. I believe that we were created from God, and God put us here for His purpose and His plan. So I just totally disagree with that video. I just feel like he was just talking. There's people. I think a lot of times I've done it in my past where you just kind of trying to say something smart or say something that is just out there to get people to whatever you're doing it for, to get people distracted, to try to get people to think. To me, it just sounded like that kind of vibe to me. It gave off that vibe like he's just trying to say something to sound smart.
Yeah, Freshly, what about you?
Cap. I don't believe in it. There's been several scientific studies that disprove it. It has no basis in reality. There's so much evidence that proves that astrologers have about as much chance of accurately predicting the future as really random chance.
Throwing dice at a wall.
Yeah, that's like saying the light was green, or that's like saying the grass was green on the other side when I crossed the street. So every time the grass is green on the other side, I cross the street, I'm not gonna get hit by a car. Like, no.
Well, solar. What do you think about that? Do you think you got Freshly saying that he thinks thinking he'd be thrown out? There's some truth to it. Where are you at on that?
I think there's a tad bit of truth to it, but there's a tad bit of truth to everything. Like assuming that we're talking about, okay, let's use an analogy of like a weatherman. How do they predict the weather for a week out, 10 days out, and be somewhat accurate? They have to put out some type of I guess buffer in there to give them, I guess, some leeway, because they can't say, oh, it's going to be 112 degrees on November 10th unless they know something above beforehand, and assume that they have some type of uh, data that backs it up over 100 years, 200 years, 1,000 years. There has to be some type of truth to it. It might not be totally accurate, but there could be some type of merit where they have had some data that shows that people.
So let me ask the panel this right here. Like, if I could just go person by person, CQ, do you think that astrology can be useful?
I mean, I think there's parts of astrology that have shown like where certain stars are at and things of that nature. So I think everything has its use, whether it's a use to show us something that we shouldn't follow, or it's a use of showing us something that is good and maybe we should pay some attention to it.
Okay, what about Freshly? What about you? You think that
It depends on what you're talking about useful for. Like, are we talking about useful for the advancement of the human race? Useful as a religion? Useful as a set of beliefs? I think overall it's detrimental because it takes away from a lot of accountability. But that's just my opinion.
Solar? What about you?
I think again, I think that is a talking point. It gives us, like I said, some type of merit to go off of. I'm not saying that it's totally accurate because it can always be off, but at the same time, look at some of the traits that you may have, or some of the I guess where you would align to back at the time when you were born, or the month that you were born in, or even days. I mean, the universe is a numerical system. It's all about numbers. It's all about being aligned and making sure that things add up or equal out. And with that being said, if you look into some of the patterns that you might run into, it kind of makes sense. There's a little bit.
Well, let me speak to that part right there. For me, the thing is this: I want to kind of tie some of the strings together from what Solar said and what CQ said about one being discovering stars and two being mathematics. See, mathematics is an actual science. It's quantifiable. It's scalable. The math in China is the same as the math in India, is the same as the math over here in the Americas and in South America. And discovering stars, astrologers never discovered these stars. Astronomers, for the audience out there, they discover stars, but not astrologers. Astrologers, it's not a science. There's Sumerian astrology, there's Indian astrology, there's American astrology, there's all kinds of different astrologers around the world throughout human history, but they're not discovering, they're not doing any scientific discoveries. Those people who are doing science with astronomy and stuff like that are actually discovering the different constellations or whatever else, how the universe is working.
I don't think they're discovering stars because those stars are obviously already there. They're obviously identifying.
Well, hold on. What does discover mean, though? We covered this in a previous video, but discover just means I found it. Discover just means
Eureka.
Discover just means
it doesn't. No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does.
No, it doesn't.
You can discover something, but you might not be the first person that acknowledged that it was there.
Yeah, for sure. I stand with you on that. I mean, what number you were on that list of discovering it? Like if I say, hey y'all, I discovered this new Jamaican restaurant, let's all go over there. I'm not saying there's not a staff already working there. You know, so I'm not saying that. I'm not sure I'm not saying the construction people that built the building weren't there already. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
I'm not saying that the people who landscaped it and you get what my point at this point.
Exactly.
I know people were already there, but what I'm saying is I still discovered it.
But if you studied it, if you I guess did your own analysis on that restaurant and did all the things, since we're using that analogy, like if you did all your data points on that restaurant and you can actually say, okay, this happens at this point in time of the day at 12 o'clock noon. There's a rush at 3 p.m.
But
There's
that's
a
science. That's science. That's sociology.
that's also science. Yeah,
But it's
you
not
can
a.
also
But I'm saying astrology is not a science. Like there's nothing you can discover with astrology. Only usefulness astrology has is in getting women. If you want to get,
damn,
I would say,
I wasn't expecting you come strong like that.
well, I
I'm
think
not
that's
saying
the
that it's.
only real.
I'm gonna say I'm not even gonna say that it's a useful thing for any of that. It's a talking point. It's a can you use astrology to I guess mosey your way into somebody's life? I'm a Scorpio. They say a lot of things about Scorpios, and a lot of women know a lot of more things about Scorpios than I
Yeah,
do.
that's facts.
I could feed into that all day if that's my brand. If that's the lane that I want to get into, I could feed into that all day, which I kind of do in certain realms. Like,
Yeah, but I just the reason
Hey,
why
edit this part out.
don't.
the reason why I'm
I don't
passionate
want my
about
man's game to be messed up.
yeah
I'll be fine.
the reason why I'm passionate about this topic is because Dr. Umar Johnson, you got Zoe Williams, we just watched. We have a lot of our Black intellectuals that push astrology. We're the only community that I see that's pushing astrology like this. In the white institutions, you don't see them teaching about astrology. You and I went through 1st through 12th grade. Then a lot of us went to college. They never once taught us astrology. If astrology was useful for building the world, they would have put it in the textbooks for us to learn. They didn't put it in there because it didn't serve any real purpose in a developing country.
I wouldn't say that to a certain degree, and the only reason I say that is because they left a lot of other things out of those same textbooks.
Like what science did they leave out? Okay, what science did they leave out that we should know about?
I mean, are y'all familiar with what is that?
Alchemy?
No. I was gonna say the man. So he's a huge
This is a science. This is a science.
This is forbidden truth or whatever.
No, I don't think forbidden truth, because obviously you can't put every truth in the textbook. Obviously, the textbook will be a mile wide. I'm talking about an actual science like math, the scientific method, astronomy, biology, chemistry. These are all sciences, knowledge.
Yeah, but I agree with you. But a lot of those things that we're being taught,
science has been left out of the textbooks from first to getting your doctorate.
I'm assuming that that there's some type of text out there that we haven't seen. There's always gonna be
But science?
I mean, with science, like we have the math, but do we know quantum math? Do we get taught quantum physics?
If you get your doctorate in mathematics, they're going to teach you quantum math. What I'm saying is, why would every single textbook in the Western world leave out astrology? I'm talking about from 1st grade to getting your doctorate in college. They never teach you astrology. If that was a science, why would they include every other science but that one?
Is it a major? Could you major? Can you major in astrology?
I never got taught astrology in any
I'm saying, but can you major in it? Is there a degree?
You can.
Major in? Okay, you can. So there's obviously a factor in society that allows it to be a major that somebody can actually achieve a higher degree in. Now, mind you, I'm not here to vouch for it and be like, oh, this is the degree I want to go and get my spend my $50,000 a year on, because again, I don't think that you can make a decent living off of it. But if you choose to observe the stars, just like somebody chooses to, I guess.
Oh, observing the stars is astronomy, though. That's what I'm saying. Observing the stars is astronomy.
But again, in both regards, if you choose to look up at the sky through a telescope lens and that's your occupation, I still don't see that as a viable I guess
no,
job.
Astronomers get paid really good money.
They get paid a lot of money.
They get paid
astronomers.
They're like superstars.
You can also major. So you can't major as an astrologist in the U.S. I think you have to go to like Eastern or Western. I want to say Eastern Europe
China.
or something like that.
Big in China.
You think China? I highly doubt China is has that.
Yeah, you're right.
China's
you're right.
about the hard sciences.
China now, not China now. Taking over
Yeah,
the
you
world
might get your legs broke trying to just major in astrology in China. They're gonna get you up out of there.
You can make a lot of money doing it. Well, I mean, again, should we start selling opioids and fentanyl, and then also doing astrology?
So I just want to make you understand my point. What I'm saying is that astrology is not a scalable model. Therefore, it's not a science. We can't. If astronomy, math, biology, chemistry, these are all things that we can go anywhere in the world and do the same tests, right? If we adjust for atmospheric pressure, obviously, if I'm a certain level above the sea level, it's going to affect the boiling points and stuff like that, right? But in general, we all know science can be done anywhere on the earth, and we're going to get the same results. If you're doing astrology, you can't. If you got astrology over there, the astrology in a different place in the world are even the same. Chinese astrology versus American astrology versus Sumerian is not even the same. And then, so my point, astronomers already broke down. This is what Freshly was talking about. Astronomers already broke down astrology and said it's not true. Then sociologists got involved and followed kids from first grade to middle school and said there is no correlation between when you were born and your personality. So all the sciences that deal with astrology that go, let's test to see if astrology is accurate. Nope, they get the stars wrong. That the star's not there. There's actually 13. There should be 13 signs instead of 12. You know, you're doing a Galilean or Copernicus. You're doing geocentric, or you're doing are you doing other types of versions of how they map the universe? I can't think of the other one right now. Geocentric versus I can't think of the sun one, but
okay. I mean, either way.
Hey,
I mean,
just to point this out, the belief astrology is the belief that the alignment of stars and planets affects every individual's mood, personality, and environment depending on when they were born. To that point, it's hey man, what are you doing, bro? What's going on? Hey, what are you doing? What are you doing? What you doing? What you doing, man?
What's going on?
he's eating a banana.
Hey man, break that up in pieces, man. Get you a butter knife, man. What's going on around here? This man violated, bro.
This man
Get
put
him out of here.
Hey, you gotta
where did you pull a banana from, though? Like, I want to know what pocket dimension you pulled that banana from.
Hey, I don't like how enthusiastically you biting that banana, bro. Who this man?
He just pulled it out of
nowhere.
Who
this man? Oh man.
Where did it come from?
That's down to earth. Is that down to earth?
I guess so. I don't know, bro.
Buddhist man.
Oh, that's off of I forgot which movie it was.
Is it I'm gonna get you, sucker?
I think I think it was one of them old movies.
Man.
Who this man? Boo.
But okay, but say we want to stay here.
Oh, it's Half Baked.
Oh yeah, yes.
It's Half Baked.
Half Baked?
Yeah. Hey man.
Yeah,
hey man. Hey man, don't pick that banana up no more, man. Cut that joint into slices, man. What's going on around here?
The slices, yeah.
Cornflakes.
First of all,
all right, y'all ready for the next video?
Yeah.
All right, here it goes right here.
Vlad is the epitome of a culture vulture. This is my main point. He has made over $10 million off of black people's attention alone. He's made money off of getting black people self-incriminated. He's made money off of the FBI using when black people tell their stories about whether if it was their life before they got into the game, etc., or if they currently still do it, whatever. The FBI has verifiably used the testimonies and statements from his interviews, from people on his interviews, to lock people up. Vlad is not only a culture vulture, he is a straight-up devil. What he said about the minister, I said I will never go on the show. I don't give a damn if he tries to invite me on. He is absolutely a devil, period, point blank. So, again, that's why when you brought up him, he's an example of a lot of these people who do that.
That's what I'm trying to say.
They bring you on so that
people.
you can say something so that they can benefit from destroying you and having you destroy yourself and act like they had nothing to do with it. Vlad is the epitome of a culture vulture. This is my main point. He has made over $10 million off of black people's attention alone. He's made money off of getting black people self-incriminated. He's made money off of by the FBI using when black people tell their stories about whether if it was a, their life before they got into the game, etc., or if they currently still do it, whatever. The FBI has verifiably used the testimonies and statements from his interviews, from people on his interviews, to lock people up. Vlad is not only a culture vulture, he is a straight up devil. What he said about the minister, I said I will never go on the show. I don't give a damn if he tries to invite me on. He is absolutely a devil, period, point blank. So again, that's why when you brought up him, he's an example of a lot of these people who do that.
That's what I'm trying to say.
So that you can say something.
So let's go CQ and Solar on this one. What's up?
Yeah, man. I mean, I always think about, I used to have that idea about Vlad, but I mean, for me, it's like, who else is gonna like do it? Like, one thing I do like about Vlad is he is documenting history, and in 30 or 40 years, there's gonna be people like Vlad's had some pretty profound, people on his shows. I mean, it doesn't just go towards the black culture. He's had mafia bosses on there, mob bosses. He's had doctors, lawyers. He's had all types of people on his show.
Thank you, man.
So it's like, I don't see who. I mean, he's the one that picked up the camera and decided to do it. How would we feel if it was Cameron and Mace asking those questions to people? Would we still have the same?
Yeah.
Good point.
Because I've seen, Joe Budden ask some pretty integrating questions as well that can put people in a pickle, in a jam. So, all that culture vulture stuff, somebody's got to do it. Somebody's got to document the history.
Pause on that pickle part. But yeah, Solar, what you got?
No, you can't say pause.
Oh, hey, I'm slipping.
You can't. That's not for you right now. You would. You in timeout, bro. You in pause timeout for right now.
That definitely was a pause, though. Hey, go.
Solar, what you got?
I mean, look at it from this standpoint, right? Anything that we say that's a part, I guess, of the culture will be used against you. Like, it will be used against you. Now, due to the fact that it's a white man in this position making money off of people exploiting their stories and telling their truths over a video, which in reality it should be I guess confidential, and it shouldn't be used against you in a court of law. But at the same time, and in reality, if there's a, I guess, timestamp a resource that they can utilize to incriminate you into telling on yourself or I guess testifying against yourself, they're going to use it, and that would be their people or the they people will be the system itself. The government is going to take advantage of every known resource that they can use, and that Vlad does help out with giving the information, because in certain cases he's been subpoenaed to give that information. Now, he also said it had he also had a video that he's not willing to give out anything unless you take me to court.
Yeah.
And in that case, then I understand. But in reality, I do think that he has some type of issue with when it comes down to like really giving out information or putting it out there. But again, in 20 years, 30 years, you're gonna look back at this and be like, well, damn, he had one of the most iconic interviews podcasts. Exactly. Because he was one of the first to do it.
Freshly,
I got multiple points, man. The first thing is Vlad is not a culture vulture. Vlad has not attached himself to the culture. Vlad has been around for as long or longer than some of the people that we hold iconic. He's been in the culture. He's put in the work. He was DJing, all that good stuff. And when you're talking about hip hop, he's not a culture vulture. If hip hop is a culture, hip hop has several tenets. I want to say it's seven. Hip hop has 7 tenets, right? Graffiti, breakdancing, DJing, MCing, beatboxing, knowledge. What's the last one? Vulcan.
I'm not
fashion.
Sure. I think we get your point.
It's fashion. Long story short, Vlad is not a culture vulture. if you call Vlad a culture vulture, and from the aspect that he's put in the work, right? He's been around for a while from the beginning. He knows the history. He was part of some of our most iconic, like Solar was saying, part of some of our most iconic hip hop moments. He was there for him. He went to these places to get these interviews. He was the DJ, all this good stuff. Blase, blase. If we're gonna call Vlad a culture vulture, and we essentially are saying that because he's white, he can't be a part of our culture. But then you have to excise every white person that's a part of our culture. If we're saying the culture was made for black people and black people only, you can't get in if you're not black.
Yeah.
I would even be okay with calling him, if you want to say he's a guest in hip hop, but not a culture vulture. Two, I don't think you can believe in black excellence and black high intellect and all that good stuff at the same time if you believe that Vlad asking questions is somehow forcing or coercing or tricking these intelligent people who survived for years on the streets, avoiding the cops and all this good stuff. And all of a sudden somebody asks them a question and they tell their story, and now Vlad is the feds. Like he just has some sort of witchcraft or wizardry. He's just asking questions. And my third point is Vlad asks questions. Again, this is a supply and a demand thing. This is basic economics. I would be willing to bet, and I don't have the metrics on me. I'd be willing to bet that the demographic that watches Vlad the most is us. Vlad asks the questions he asks. He interviews the people that he interviews because we want to see it. We want to see niggas telling themselves. We want to see the street stories. We love that type of drama. We love those stories, bro. So when you get somebody on there that wants to tell their story, especially because a lot of these folks, we don't know their stories, right? There's certain details about their lives that are mysteries. Vlad is saying, let's get into more depth. What did you get locked up for?
Yeah.
Right. And there's been several people who have gone on the show and elected not to answer certain questions. I don't see how we can blame Vlad. And I forget who said this earlier. It was either Solar Ken or CQ. Several other black-led platforms ask these same types of questions. Ain't nobody calling Say Cheese a culture vulture. It's the same type of platform.
Yeah,
Ain't nobody calling the Joe Budden podcast a culture vulture. So based on those 3 points, either we're going to excise all white people out of hip hop and say anything they do in hip hop, no matter how much they contributed, right? We talking Eminem, we talking about the BC Boys, we talking about
let me tap in on this point. Make a lot of great points, but I want to focus on. I just don't like RZA, man. I don't like the way he argues. I don't like
this dude.
I don't want to talk about Vlad. I wanted to go into RZA, man. RZA
Pause.
is Nation of Islam. Sorry, yeah, pause. RZA is Nation of Islam. So it ain't got nothing to do with what Vlad did or didn't do. He wasn't gonna like Vlad no way.
Because he's a white devil.
And then Vlad disrespected his leader, Louis Farrakhan, whatever. I can't remember the comments that he made about him. But it was, a matter of fact, I think it was more of a disagreement on a political point about ethnicity and stuff like that, doing with the Jews, if I remember correctly. Yeah. And so my whole point is right here. RZA was never gonna like Vlad. He thinks what he thinks about those kind of people, and so he's just saying things that we agree with him on, so that he can get us where he was already at in the first place. It wasn't like he was like, I wonder how I should love you, Vlad. And then Vlad did that, and he goes, okay, I don't like Vlad anymore. He started off.
He already didn't like Vlad.
I don't like Vlad. He's the devil. And what can I find to make everybody else think he's the devil too? Because he does a lot for the black community. He's a pioneer in the game. He's been.
I'm gonna talk about the struggle. Yeah, that'll get him on my side.
My side.
That's that Jamie.
Classic.
Did you say CQ?
Yeah, no. Go ahead, you good.
That Jamie Foxx.
No, he said it. He said it was Jamie Foxx. He knows his history.
Yeah. That Jamie Foxx. That Doug. Give it Doug Christie, everybody. But yeah, so that's my issue with RZA Islam is that the white devil thing, all that kind of stuff he's saying, the culture vulture stuff, he's already biased, and all he's doing is he wants us to agree with him, and instead of saying, hey, look, y'all, I'm Nation of Islam, I'm never gonna like this guy. You know what I'm saying? Instead of him just saying that, he tries to come up with reasons that are subpar. Vlad's probably the most iconic hip hop show, of all time, probably as far as podcasting goes, or
He
like
got the views to prove it.
yeah, the views.
Every black-led podcast has mirrored what Vlad has already done.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's a pioneer.
Say Cheese, Cam Capone, Art of Dialogue, Doggy Diamonds.
Yeah, and introduced us to people that we never. Lord Jamar. I didn't know who Lord Jamar was until Vlad like that.
That's because you're not a real hip hop head.
The
That's
guy
all.
the guy who said, "You know they messed up, right? You know they messed up, right?" David Duke. Was that his name? The black dude.
I think David Duke is the.
What's the guy who was like, you done messed up, right?
Yeah, you're right.
Oh,
you're right.
All right.
Yo.
No, not you. Solar Kid is right.
What's his name?
Wow.
Yo, he took it there, didn't you?
I don't know what his name was, but Bill Duke. Bill Duke. Not.
Bro, you know who David Duke is?
Yeah, I know David Duke is, but they both got the same last name. Practically brothers.
Oh man, this man here.
So the whole thing is that guy right there had a very interesting story. Michael Jai White. People weren't interviewing Michael Jai White like that until Vlad. Ari Spears. Hilarious. Nobody gave him that platform until Vlad.
Boosie said they asked Boosie, they told Boosie on Charlemagne and them were like, "Hey Boosie, you should start a podcast with Lil Webby." And Boosie was like, "Man, I got to get a bag. I need a bag." And they were like, "Oh, he was like, I need a meal. And they were like, "You ain't gonna make that much money doing it." He was like, "Well, I'll just keep on going on Vlad and make $500,000 a year."
Easy.
He make $500,000 a year just going on Vlad interviews. Tell me that's not. Come on now. Like,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. People want to hate on Vlad. He's not a guest in hip hop. He
is. That's what I'm saying.
I'm saying he's not even a guest in hip hop.
He's in hip hop. He's a DJ by trade. This is new for him. Vlad made his bones DJing. It's one of the basic tenets of hip hop.
Exactly.
I'm pretty sure Vlad at some point in time was a break dancer. There's so many Caucasian break dancers, bro. There's white rappers, there's white graffiti artists. Like you can't
my whole thing about this whole thing about people are being guests in hip hop or whatever, it makes no sense because
hip hop's not. Go ahead. My fault.
Just look at the landscape of history. You look at South America. You have the natives that were in South America. You have the conquistadors that come down there, made with the natives, and now you got these mixed people that we call Mexicans and stuff like that, right? So my whole point in saying this right here is that, like, if I go over there and assimilate into Mexican culture, am I a guest in Mexican culture? Were the conquistadors guests whenever they started mating with them, and now that's what we consider Mexican now? It can't be a color reason why somebody's a guest. If you take on the cultural mores and values of that particular group, you are that group. What you got, someone?
To a certain degree, yeah, because you're integrating into that society and the community. But at the same time, bro, like you from the outside looking in most cases, especially when you're talking about, I guess, coming from a different background, not understanding is like I'm not opposed to dating outside my race or whatever. At the same time, I'm not looking to date outside my race. I'm not actively searching to say that.
You said there was only race earlier. I thought you said there was only one race earlier.
Again, there is only one race, but you understand that we categorize each other by races. I'm not saying that it's the right thing to do. I'm assuming that I'm speaking for in general. Or now, mind you, I do agree that there's only one race. That's my stance. But what I'm basically stating is that when it comes down to nationalities, per se, I'm not looking to go outside of my nationality. And then
so you wouldn't marry somebody from Australia or from England or from Zimbabwe or Kenya. That's a different nation.
I would definitely marry a Venezuelan African queen.
That's a different nation. That's a different nationality. That's a different nation.
Man, so can't just say you ain't gonna marry no Mayo devil.
Okay, sure, I'm gonna go with that. Whatever freshman said, because I ain't saying it.
We say they came from us. Did we disown them at some point in time? If they came from us, what we say?
White people or black people?
White people came from blacks is what we say. Black intellectuals say all the time. If they came from us, why are we rejecting our own children?
because we don't rock with them over there.
Because they got thin lips, all right? That's the real reason, all right? We can't. They got thin lips, man.
They chose to live in the colder climates, and we chose to live in the.
No, we chose, because that was us at some point in time, quote unquote. We chose, and then we got lighter.
I don't know what answer. I'm a warm climate type of person, but with that being stated, bro, let's stay on topic to a certain degree, right? So you had
yes, sir.
let's so in reality, right, when it comes down to, let's say, somebody infiltrating the culture, giving us a platform to, I guess, to be heard, to be seen, to, I guess, be exploited, to allow us to, I guess, thrive on the entertainment side. But if we're not, I guess, the ownership of that, it looks like you're exploiting, or you're a culture vulture to the outside masses, or I mean to the inside masses, where it's like, okay, all of us in this room can possibly say that, oh yeah, if a white man is taking advantage of our advantage, or our labor, or our stories, or whatever it is, he's exploiting us. And now we're sitting at the top of this panel talking about, oh well, is it a culture vulture? Like, to a certain degree, it is. He is a culture vulture, but he's not. I mean, then, like, we don't appreciate him to a certain degree. I appreciate anybody who's willing to give somebody a platform, but at the same time, if you're taking advantage of them, or you're incriminating them, it's an issue.
But how is
how is he incriminating them or taking advantage of them? You can choose either one you want first.
Taking advantage is obviously you're the only people that he's interviewing are celebrity, or our top earners in our communities, which would be like rappers, fucking drug dealers, anything of that sort. That's him exploiting the black community for its worst. He's not showcasing a doctor.
You think he's exploiting the black community, or is he exploiting the hip hop community? Because he's had other races on there.
Tariq, Sotomayor.
He's had mobsters on there. He's had Mexican mafia guys on there. He's had
he had the
well,
guy.
if that's the case, then he's exploiting. Go ahead, bro.
No, he's providing a service. It's not exploiting. We only call it exploiting because he's white. If he was black, it wouldn't be exploitation. We call it exploitation because he's white, but he's not. This is a culture that he's a part of. He's a pioneer in the hip hop space.
We should have a monument.
We put him on we should be putting him on the same level as a Beastie Boys. He's not exploiting. Here's the thing.
He's way far exceeded the Beastie Boys. Everybody.
No, but what I'm saying, as far as how iconic he is in his culture.
Vlad in their place, because come on, man, Vlad has broken so much ground in hip hop with the interviews and giving us the Tupac, as it pops up numerous times on the screen. The Tupac stuff he's done is second to none. He did better than the LA and the Vegas Police Department did.
Yeah, he solved the Tupac murder.
Come on,
single-handedly.
Isn't that alone?
They knew he killed Tupac a long time ago, but
the police didn't. Not enough to make an arrest. You needed a confession. Guess who got that confession? Vlad the Feds, bro. Listen, this is all I'm saying. He's not a culture vulture. He is not a culture vulture. Vlad is a reporter. He's just asking questions. If you don't want to answer the question, because here's the thing, Vlad is not getting information. Most of this information that Vlad gets is in their music. Well, the only difference between Vlad and the album is there's no music to it.
According to most of these artists, none of that is true.
But that's true. So then, how is Vlad a culture vulture? How is he exploiting it? If they just telling stories?
Yeah, Soda, have you said that part? How is he a culture vulture? Well, hold on. Can we define culture vulture first? And then we could then say how he is one.
Anyone who picks and scavenges over the culture for, I guess, their own exploitation, which, I mean, if you look at a vulture, right? What does the vulture do? It's a scavenger. They pick on dead animals, pick on for their own nutrients. Now, with that being said, it's loose scraps in our community when it comes down to the
Is Joe
I guess
Budden a culture
rappers.
vulture?
I think that anybody who takes advantages of I guess impoverished situation is a vulture.
So is
None of
Joe?
these people are impoverished.
That's a good
You just
point.
called them the top earners in our community.
Some of the top
These-
earners.
You did just say that. You did just say
Some
top.
of the top earners, yes, for sure. I mean, I'm gonna
What,
consider
what
saying
poor
that
person has he had on there?
bro, I can't say he had. I don't know people's income. I'm assuming that everybody makes an okay income, but that's not the case. Even these people
So
that we
how is
see
he
on
taking advantage of an
social media.
impoverished community? I would proffer this.
I think that
Vlad
they
is a
don't pay him. He
purveyor
pays him.
of Vlad is a supplier of things that we want to hear. The
But again,
black community in particular, but really everybody, we like drama. We love street stories. There's hood classics that tell a street story that don't show us in any sort of positive light. We killing each other. There's movies that we have on a pedestal. We love reality TV. We are the number one consumers of things that show us in a bad light. Vlad, if anything, and this is at his worst. This is the most Vlad. This is the most Vlad.
Solar has a plan after you get done here, just so you know. Solar's been trying to cut in a few times, but go ahead.
No, you good.
Okay.
You good. I was gonna say. I think the reason why we're the most consumers of things that show us in a bad light is because that's all they show.
Who is they?
The producers, the critics, the music that they put on the radio isn't fucking Big Sean all day long. It's literally fucking Lil Durk.
It's what we like. It's listen.
Again,
They're gonna put what we like. They're
going to play what we like. If we say we only want to hear Common, they're gonna play Common. We spend the money. We give the attention. The likes are ours. They're not forcing it on us.
Like this radio is advertisement. A lot of this stuff is advertisement dollars driven. So they're gonna put whatever is gonna make people tune in. So the advertisers see, oh, you got this many views. Okay, I'm gonna give you millions of dollars to show my commercials.
We got to get out of this victim mentality where this stuff is being forced upon us, man. We're consuming this stuff by far the most. We love this stuff. We love seeing ourselves in this light. And I'm not saying that it's right. I'm saying it's supply and demand. It's basic economics. What do they want to see? What do they want to hear? I'm going to give them that because they're going to continue to be customers.
Yeah, of course they want our money. They want our support. They want our vote. They want everything from us. But what do we get in return? We get the least of everything. We get the least.
But whose fault is that? That's their fault or that's our fault?
I can't tell you why. I like trap music to a certain degree, but I like trap music because it's trap music. I can't tell you why. I like.
You think it's the man that did it though?
Trap music.
You think the man somehow did that, or you think you like trap music because you can?
It's innate in us to like those things because we created those things.
We didn't create
those. Huh? They didn't create. They didn't create the drums. But I can tell you that the situations that we came from, the situations that we live in, the circumstances that we live under.
Yeah.
Those were all created over a period of time. The redlining,
Well, let me cut in here. Before I want to say this right here because Melly Mel, I think he was one who offered this point right here when he said that how can anybody within hip hop talk about being a culture vulture when hip hop's entire start is based on sampling mostly non-black music to create hip hop?
Bada boom, bada bing, bada bing.
Okay, so based on your point right there, what instruments did these individuals that created these sounds off of other people's sounds did they have in their possessions? Did they have all the tools at their disposal to create their own sound, or did they like a sound that they admire and they use that sound to make something else that was of their own? Because using their talents to basically,
I gotta hear that again. You have to run that one by me again. I'm not gonna lie. I gotta hear that one again.
Okay. Essentially, he's saying the white people whose music hip hop sample, where do they get their music from?
I mean, I'm saying,
am I right, Solar King?
I was more or less saying we were on track, but I was more or less saying like if you're talking about us as a culture, being a culture vulture to other cultures, assuming taking samples from rock or classic Beethoven, whatever it is, assuming that the only thing that we had was the opportunity to rip their samples and use them under our terms and create our own music because we didn't have the infrastructure to use those instruments or the.
So everything we do comes at a lack. Basically, you're saying that we can never really be held accountable for anything because everything. So this is a reoccurring thing you said pretty much on every single point is that because blacks lack, we're allowed to do things everybody else can't do. So
we're forced into these behaviors and these actions because we didn't have stuff.
What do we do of our own will and volition, and what can we take credit for that we did of our own will and volition?
I think that in most cases we get hand me down everything. In most cases, I'm not saying that we don't make fucking a gourmet meal out of the scraps that we get because we have all our culture is composite of everything that we've ever obtained and made into our own. Again, we can use Thanksgiving as an example. Like all that food is scrap food. All of it. Everything that we eat is scrap food. It's never the gourmet of a dish.
Turkey?
Turkey is one of the birds that most people don't eat across the world. They don't eat turkeys.
Most people don't celebrate Thanksgiving.
Most people don't eat turkey because it was only commonly known to be an American bird.
So, again, in America, we eat turkey. When was turkey a scrap food in America?
Hell, what else is on that menu besides turkey?
Ham.
Yams, macaroni.
All foods.
I think you talk about chitlins and hog maws and stuff, but that doesn't predominantly make up what we eat for Thanksgiving.
Never eat that stuff at Thanksgiving. Probably see my grandma.
You never eaten that, but the culture itself will tell you that's a Thanksgiving meal.
CQ, you want to cut in there? Or you got anything?
Nah, I mean, just
nah. Why everybody be like nah and start talking? Everybody be like, Freshly do this all the time. He be like, nah, and then we start talking about it.
I was just gonna say I'm just listening in right now.
But yeah, so I'm hearing what you're saying is that so black people be culture vultures?
I think that we can be to a certain extent be culture vultures, but at the same time, a lot of the things that we've taken and made our own is because that's all we had that's all we had was to do that. There was no other option.
So okay, if you're saying everybody can be a culture vulture, then okay, fine. You're saying everybody can be a culture vulture. Got it. I got it now. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not denying the fact that's not a part of, I guess, societies, is that you find something that you like and you take a little bit of it and you utilize it to, I guess, better whatever.
Yeah, because I want to make a point like with East Coast, South Coast debate is about like DJ Screw. How can DJ Screw get big off of just taking somebody's music and then slowing it down? Some people say he's not a real DJ. Not, Houston music's not authentic in that way because all you're doing is taking somebody's song that was already a hit and then slowing it down, calling yourself some kind of musical wizard. And I'm not saying I agree or disagree. I'm just saying that's a point that people make outside of Texas. Have you heard that before? Have you heard that point before?
Of course. Assuming that somebody has never heard the sound, has never even thought to slow something down, has never experienced that in I guess in the culture of the South. Like coming down here and listening to screw music is different than listening to it in the Midwest or listening to it in the Pacific Northwest. Like it's not going to be the same. You're not going to get the same experience. You're not going to have the same appreciation for the culture, especially when you're around it and everybody's indulging in the same energy. Like it's going to be something totally different. And then going to New York and listening to real hip hop is going to be totally different than.
Whoa! Shots fired.
I mean, real hip hop is.
Hey, CQ. He just said New York's real hip hop, man. What you got to say about that?
I mean, could you not? Would y'all not agree with me on the real hip hop, the mecca of where it comes from?
Hold up.
If you say the origin, yeah, but are you saying the origin of something is the only real thing?
Is it
is the only authentic thing? So wherever it started, it can't be real outside of there.
It can be real, but it can't be the original. version of hip
Yeah,
hop.
I want you to clarify because you said real hip hop as opposed to original hip hop.
Okay. Then yeah, it can be the origin of hip hop and where it started at and where it developed this sound into what everybody else has been a little bit of a vulture to, from the
I
south to the
agree.
north to the west. And then you
I
can
agree
go
with
across
that.
and you can go across seas and see the emulation in Europe or in Asia, where you look at some of these pop artists or these K-pop artists or whatever kind of genre of music it is that's emulating everything that has been said in the culture.
Russia, India, China all have battle rap now. Are they culture
Well,
vultures?
Yeah.
definitely.
So Ken, let me ask you a question real quick. Are you saying is your in your estimation is Vlad only a culture vulture because everybody is a culture vulture?
I say Vlad is a culture vulture to a certain degree because the culture he's obviously making
Culture.
he making his money off of, that he's catering to, is predominantly a black impoverished culture. Even though the person that he has on there is most likely well ahead of a lot of other people for being either the worst influencer that made the most money. Drug dealers are influencers to a certain degree. They influence the world to buy
In what
drugs.
way is it predominantly black? In what way is hip hop predominantly black as of now?
I mean, is it not? I mean, could
The,
you
the
could you
main
not say
consumers
that?
aren't black.
I mean, the consumer
I
that
don't.
they
I don't
make
even know. I
music
don't even know
for.
if the main artists are black anymore.
What? I mean,
Hip hop's around the world now.
What artists in the top 15 aren't black?
You're talking about American though.
I'm assuming that we're talking about America when we're having this debate. Now, I'm not talking about the world.
Hip hop.
Yeah, James. America the free, the red, white, and the blue. Leave them other jokers out there.
Hip hop at this point. I don't know if it's
we're talking
really.
about America. Now, we're not talking about India, because if that's the case, then all of them are black or they're all of color. Like, we're talking about a country in which the culture that the musical culture that we're speaking on is literally a black culture. It's a black thing that we adopted other cultures into in this country. We don't have a problem with the Hispanic portion of hip hop. We don't have a problem with the white portion of hip hop, but we do have a problem with the white portion of hip hop coming into the hip hop and claiming it as its own, when in reality we know that that's never been the case. It's always been a predominantly black industry.
Well, that's
A
how
predominantly
basketball was.
genre.
Oh wait, you said predominantly black or originally black?
Well, predominantly black for the most part, and originally black.
So is country? Are black people in country music culture vultures because it's predominantly white?
I think that country music, depending on which part of the country you're in, can be a little bit of both. Because country music started out more black than anything.
Right. What about rock and roll? Black people in rock and roll culture vultures because that's a predominantly white industry.
I think the whole rock and roll, that was a black industry as well. Music wise, it was a black genre of music to begin with. It got converted into a lot of other things after the fact, but as time rolled on, it became way more established in the white culture because of the sound, because of the tools that are required to have.
What about black classical composers?
There's only a few of those. Like, you can't tell me.
So are we culture vultures?
Are they culture vultures?
No, because they inseminated themselves into that field. But I'm not going to say
what
a black composer is a culture vulture.
It's a predominantly white industry. It's a predominantly white music.
Opera.
That's a predominantly white thing. So if by that token, you're saying essentially it can only be one way or the other. If you're white and you could rap, then you're not a culture vulture. If you're black and you can compose, it's just the ability to do so.
That's
I'm
why
black
I
and I
think
can compose
culture
music.
vulture is just a word that somebody made up just to have like
culture vulture is in the Oxford dictionary. I mean, all words are made up. If that's the case,
well,
but culture.
I'm saying my point is saying it's like something to talk about. Like, even like with this cancel culture, you have these terms that are being used now to do like so you can have your way. Oh, like you were saying with RZA, he didn't even like Vlad to begin with. So now let me go ahead and talk about something that he's. I mean, let me go ahead and get people on my side so that I can make people feel the same way that I feel about it. It's just something that somebody made up to have their way. It's like the word. What is culture? What is the culture vulture? Like, what really is? Is it just because
a
everybody
culture
does
vulture
it.
by definition? I'm gonna let you keep going. A culture vulture by definition is a person who is very interested in the arts, especially to an obsessive degree. That's the Oxford language definition of a culture vulture. To that point, that could literally be anybody.
That's anything. Then that's like
That's anybody. That's obsessively. But that's not how we use it, right? Colloquially, that's not how we use culture vulture.
no.
I just wanted to point out that there is a definition of it. We use it the way we use it, and that's what I'm saying. This is a critical thinking pod. So what I'm asking Solar Ken to do is logic out what he's saying. How can Vlad be a culture vulture, even a little bit, even to any extent? How can Vlad be a culture vulture if black people can't be a culture vulture in classical music? How does that logic jive?
So in for my logic and how I would see culture vulture being implemented into, let's say, classical music or hell rock, whatever you want to call it. If you come in there and you're exploiting that music, Elvis, in a sense, taking rock to a certain level, and in reality, he stole all his moves, all his grace from different artists in his time, from I guess the shakedown clubs that they used to go to watch all these people dance and do all this shit and use that to his ability and create this narrative that he came up with all of this. That's a culture vulture.
So essentially, what you're saying is anybody who takes something and does it better is a culture vulture.
I guess and doesn't give the
credit
behind it from where you established it. It'd be different if he came to him like, "Oh, yeah,
Vlad gives credit.
He gives a lot of credit. He gives too much credit. Every time Vlad does an interview, he's always talking about how he's best friends with this guy. It's almost like he wants that affirmation.
They don't mess with you like that, Vlad. Chill.
It's like, bro, you don't have to affirm your friends with so and so every single time.
That's a person that's over. That's a person that's overly what you want to call it?
He knows.
Just y'all know we got one more video. I got one more video to play after we get done with this topic, and then we're
done. I just don't want us to be so pro-black that we don't use logic and critical thinking, man. Like if you're a culture vulture, you're a culture vulture. If Vlad is a culture vulture, everybody is a culture vulture. That's just I don't see how it makes sense any other way.
I mean, me personally, when it comes down to being like, I guess if I was in the industry, which I'm in the solar industry, and I predominantly work with the opposite I guess in nationality. White people are the only ones that kind of really qualify for a certain degrees or a certain of my service. When I provide,
and we all know nationality means nation, right? So we're saying a different nation,
European nation, European descent, whatever you want to call it. And
maybe
reality,
ethnicity might be better, ethnicity or something like that.
Hey, you know who's the biggest culture vultures on this planet? Basketball players, NFL, NBA players, NFL players. None of those sports were created for black people. We just took it and did it better, made more money at it, expanded it, made it what it is today. All culture vultures.
I'll accept that, but I also can say that we own none of the fucking infrastructure. Like we own.
Well, yeah, we didn't create it.
We didn't
create it,
and we own zero. And if you look at it, it's the same thing as working on a plantation. Like, yeah, we the hardest workers in that industry.
Enos had a point, y'all. Enos, did you get to speak already?
He froze. That's crazy.
Yeah. But yeah, so I mean, like, I guess we'll wrap that.
He's on mute.
We got one last topic here.
Well, I didn't really have a point. I just wanted to do some rap facts or whatever. DJ Vlad wasn't technically fresh. He was one of those digital DJs. Talib Kweli already called him out on that.
And hey, but you said DJ in the title.
Yeah, but it's not considered the hip hop traditional DJ. So a lot of DJs don't consider him a real DJ. He only did it for a few years. That's just his way to say that he's a part of the culture. People will argue that. The backpackers will say that. So classical music, if
He never DJ'd the traditional way, not even one time.
nah, he did it the computer way. Like
Not
we all
even
could do that.
not even in his house. Not even in his house, just messing around.
Well, from what Talib, the interview Talib did with him, there's no record of him doing it actually scratching. There's no record of him ever doing that. He said he started off on the laptop DJ, early 2000s. He was selling mixtapes. Now that's been down. He was selling mixtapes on the street, but he wasn't
But he
actually a
wasn't.
DJ with turntables.
I know a lot of people that sold mixtapes in my hood.
Yeah. So
so anybody that's not using vinyl is not a DJ.
They don't consider
Yeah,
it.
So basically, what do we call DJs now? Are we not consider none of the modern DJs?
I'm saying the traditional hip hoppers wouldn't consider him a real DJ. What I'm saying.
I understand what you're saying. I'm asking, does that mean we're precluding and excluding every modern DJ that has never used vinyl?
I mean, I answered it this way: when a lot of MCs found out that Drake had a ghostwriter, most MCs didn't consider him an MC anymore. So I'm saying the traditional people still hold on to these hip hop truths, and there's a lot more. Like to ask you questions, a lot new things that's going on, and the culture just flowing with the new stuff. So you got to ask the older young. I would just wanted to just clarify. How traditional hip hop people might look at Vlad, and how today people look at Vlad. The same way today, younger generation look at Drake. They don't care he doesn't write his music. But older MCs that's into you got to write your own bars, don't consider them a real MC. What?
I was gonna say let's go and get to this last video right here.
Yeah.
And we'll have Soda go first. Come out of this. All right, you ready?
Where a lot of brothers get successful. What's your name? It is a reality where a lot of brothers get successful. You get a little bit of money, and then you start getting rich, and you go up there, you get your contract, signing party, NBA, etc. And this white girl comes up and starts finishing your sentences. She knows so much about you. All of a sudden, you really think that she wasn't sent? So let me say this, bro. Some of us are so damn naive that you think all of a sudden all these women just interested in you. I'm just saying specifically for those.
You think you get girls now because of your looks?
Now you get money and some fame. Now they're interested.
Negro, please.
Look at that. Then go to the other side and look at, wait a minute. You have family and friends that you grew up with. Who was there with you? Who's always down for you? Look at them. Okay. Let's look at this in layers. And if you do get successful, just say it's because that's the person you want to be with, and don't generalize all black women. It says because of y'all. No. That's where a lot of brothers start getting that heat. Because they get with the white girl and it's like, that's fine. But then it is a reality where a lot of brothers get successful. You get a little bit of money and then you start getting rich and you go up there, you get your contract, sign a party, NBA, etc. And this white girl comes up and starts finishing your sentences. She knows so much about you all of a sudden. You really think that she wasn't sent? So let me say this, bro. Some of us are so damn naive that you think all of a sudden all these women just interested in you. I'm just saying specifically for those. Yes. You wasn't interesting before to them. Now you get money and some fame. Now they're interested. Please look at that. Then go to the other side and look at, wait a minute. You have family and friends that you grew up with. Who was there with you? Who was always down for you? Look at them. Okay. Let's look at this in layers. And if you do get successful, just say it's because that's the person you want to be with, and don't generalize all black women. It says because of y'all. No. That's where a lot of brothers start getting that heat. Because they get with the white girl and it's like, that's fine. But then it is a reality where a lot of brothers get successful. You get a little bit of money and then you start getting rich.
All right, Solo, what you got?
Okay, so just to a prime example, okay, when we get money as a black man that who's never experienced or start to see the amount of money that can be made in this world, you obviously are being targeted by every other coach, every other person that wants to exploit you for all your resources. You can look at Mike Tyson, you can look at Michael Jackson, you can look at anybody of any power position that came from our culture, white women, women in power, men in power that want that want to be associated with you because they feel like they can utilize you to make a better way for themselves and their family. I do feel like there is some truth to someone being exploited and then also targeted by individuals looking for a come up. You look at all the women that have claimed sexual assaults against some of our black men that I was what's his name, Jonathan Mayer, uh, the person who was just playing Kane or whatever, or not Kane. You see how you get with a white woman or get with a person of European descent, and next thing you know, you find yourself in a situation where it's not a big issue until it becomes you and you're a black man. And a lot of times it's because it's an agenda behind it. As soon as they see you in this position, the DA can take you down just because it makes a headline. This black man in a powerful position gives me a status by taking them down, or this woman who's victimized because she's a European woman versus a black woman that gets way more done to her and way less circumstances under the same presidents. It doesn't really equate, um, and it doesn't really transfer. But at the same time, I see where his points are. Somebody on mute.
CQ, what you got?
Yeah, I mean, you get a little bit of fame and you can forget who your people are. You know, just me being in the rap game myself and doing a lot of music. One thing me and my bro CGS, shout out to CGS, we talk a lot about is, you know, if things do jump off for us the right way, we can't forget where we come from. You know, we got to stay grounded in, you know, our roots and always remember where we came from. So one part I did catch that he said was about being sent. I don't, you know, it's people like what they like. Like, I mean, where's this idea of, oh, you don't believe she was sent? Like, sent from where? Sent from who? Um, every woman's like, a lot of women are like that. Once somebody, like, you know, once you get a little bit of fame, you know, like what Pac said, he said just a year ago, I was dancing in the club. Those same women didn't want to be with me. Here I am a year later, and they start whispering my name because of my fame, and now they all want to be with me. So it's like, I don't look at that as everything just seems so much about race nowadays. It's like, oh, that white woman was sent. Like, she's a successful dude that she's trying to.
Yes, thank you. Women, I'll take women or gold diggers over these white women came to destroy this black man. Like, no, he didn't have money. He was poor before. Women like men with money.
Yeah, straight
He's
up.
he's no longer poor.
Hold on, Fresh. Let's see if you finish it out.
I just think that women. I just think that women have their preferences. I mean, you know, whether they're white, Hispanic, black, Indian, whatever. You know, if they see somebody that it's like the hero story. It's like you see somebody that came up from down here and all of a sudden he's here. You're like, wow, that's interesting. You know, like what's his story? How did he get so successful? It's gonna pique curiosity. It even happens within men, pause. But it happens within, like, you see a dude that was nothing a year ago and then all of a sudden he has success. You know, you're gonna want to try to get next to him to help yourself out. Like, dang, like, how did you do that? I'm in the same boat you were in a year ago. I'm trying to get to a certain level. Like, how did you get there? So I don't agree with the whole, you don't believe she was sent. That just, to me, is that it's like the divide and conquer. Like, we're so divided, man. You know, everything's just about race, black, white, this, that. It's like, man, like, people are just people, you know, and we tend to have these, we have tendencies to want to be around six. Even Boosie, he said, you get around 5 millionaires, you'll be the 6 millionaire. Everybody wants to do that. Everybody wants to be around the next big thing, you know. Pause.
Yeah, Enos, what you got?
I guess I keep mine short. I want to say, I'm trying to think of, I'm thinking hasty generalization maybe. Well, I would just say, listen, to to comment what RZA is saying, that's the true definition of hypergamy. That's obvious. It doesn't matter what color the person is, and anybody that's on top, any person who reached to the top of the hierarchy, a lot of women is going to be attracted to them. That's just common. It's the same for guys like Leonardo DiCaprio, and if he wasn't famous, a lot of black women would be attracted to him either. So that's just common sense. What RZA is doing, he's creating a theory in your head that she was sent without a lot of evidence. I don't agree with him with that without providing any evidence. I'm gonna just leave it there. I'm gonna leave it at that. Whoever want to go next can go.
Ashley, you want to go in? Want to tap that?
Yeah, man. I don't. I'm gonna keep mine short and concise. I don't like. So I agree with Enos about what RZA is doing, and really what CQ said he's doing. I just really hate that it's so effective, man. Like I really hate that it's because it's almost like a crutch. Like anything bad that happens to us, it's because we're black. I don't like that, man. Because either you believe in black excellence or you don't. Either you believe we're intelligent, you believe we can do things, we're capable, we can do anything that everyone else can do, or you believe that we're victims. You believe that we can't help ourselves. Like it can't be both, man. Like, and I really it hurts me when I hear someone like RZA say something so what I consider dumb, especially because there's so many poor black men out here running around with white women. That, like it's like what, like they're not trying to, are they trying to tear him down? There's it's just so much evidence to the contrary, and yet people are so like excited and just willing to just be like, yeah, it's because he's black. No, it's because he's like, there's so many people are so pro-black, they're so victimized that they're not even willing to consider the other factors that are involved in some of these scenarios. Like Tupac, some of these same women didn't want to be with me, and then I got hot and they wanted me. Yeah, because you have money now. Like it's such an easy it's such an easy leap to make. I don't understand why people are making the other stretch, the more difficult to prove stretch. Like, oh yeah, that white girl was sent to tear that black man down because he's finally successful now. It's like, okay, do you think that, like, if you don't like white women as a black man when you were poor, do you all of a sudden like white women when you're rich? That's the only way that would work. That's the only way that theory makes sense, and it's so easy to pick apart, and so many like black people, black women, and black men alike are willing to just hop on that train. It makes me sad, man, because it's like, again, where's your critical thinking? Like, you're not even trying.
Yeah, one thing.
Can I add before you go, because I know you're gonna make some good points on this.
Hopefully.
Hopefully. I want to say this too. RZA is underestimating the intelligence of black folks. I think y'all mentioned him on the last video. I wasn't able to chime in. To assume that these folks that's getting money or these black folks are selling drugs, and I'm just putting all this in one boat. I mean, one pot. If we don't know there's a trick that's being played on us, then we are perpetuating that as a culture we do have a little IQ than other cultures. If these cultures are so smarter than us that they're able to do all these things, send ages that we just have no idea, then the white folks are right that we are just dumber than them. That's really, if he's for us, that's really, if you really break it down, that's really what he's pushing. So, like I say, he's planting conspiracy theories in your head with not enough sufficient evidence, and that's dangerous for a lot of people that's following him, that's not able to be or better at deciphering the truth and what is opinion. That's all I got to say about that.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
In our culture, have we been undereducated or across the board?
I say so.
Well, hold on. let's put a
I
pin
know.
in the
I mean, let me answer the
next.
question. I mean,
Yeah, I was gonna say let's put a pin in the next. I want to make this point really quick, and then I want to get back to. I want to go right back in. So please don't lose that thought, everybody. Because I want to get back to that. But I want to say this real quick because part of the purpose of the show is to educate the general audience on how to decipher these things. And there's 3 concepts I want to bring to the table. Are you able to pull stuff up right now, Enos, or no?
Yeah, we can try. Videos streaming slow, but I can pull up some
Yeah.
quote
So
whatever.
there's 3 things I want to pull up, and y'all, this is gonna help y'all decipher what's the best explanation for a particular phenomenon. So you have Rizza Islam. This applies across the board, whether it's Rizza Islam. I mean, people might say, this is what's happening. This explains these particular events. You don't think that all of a sudden these women are looking at you that weren't looking at you before? It's because these white women are being sent to you, black man, basically to help destroy the black community in a nutshell. I don't think you got to that point in the video, but that's what his whole point is. Now, so we as an audience, it goes what Enos is saying, we got to ask ourselves, is that the best explanation of why these white women are going to the black man? How do you decipher? There's a lot of different reasons why they could be doing it. It could be racism. It could be hypergamy. It could be gold digging. It could be a plot by people who just don't like NBA players, right? You have all these different causes. What do you do? So there's 3 concepts that I want to educate the public on, things you could do to help you determine which one is the most plausible. Just like if you go to a court case, they're trying to figure out which one is the most plausible explanation for what happened, right? They're looking at motive. They're looking at what the evidence. So one concept is this: explanatory power. So when somebody's given explanation for something, what you're going scientifically, that's what I was mentioning earlier about astrology and astronomy. These are sciences. Well, a science is explanatory power. If you put that, another one's going to be explanatory scope, which is kind of goes under explanatory power in a way. And the last one's going to be Occam's razor, which kind of goes under explanatory power. So really, if you can just put up explanatory power, that kind of encompasses all this stuff. But anytime that you're looking at something, y'all, and somebody's giving an explanation for something, you can look at these terms. You can look, there's a science to everything. You don't have to just throw your dice at the wall and hope that you hit. Every explanation isn't created equal. It's not just all random opinions and we can do nothing about it. So you kind of went too far in. But go ahead.
Explanatory power is the ability of a hypothesis or theory to explain the subject matter effectively to which it pertains. Its opposite is explanatory impotence. In the past, various criteria or measures for explanatory power have been proposed. In particular, one hypothesis, theory, or explanation can be said to have more explanatory power than another about the same subject matter.
So hold on, I want to pause right there. So I want everybody to understand, this is not a situation where it's always going to get you to where you know 100%. This is just a tool you can use to get you to choose between different options of explanations you have available to you. Sorry, go ahead.
If more facts or observations are accounted for, if it changes more quotes unquote surprising facts into a matter of course, if more details of causal relations are provided leading to a high accuracy and precision of the description, if it offers greater predictive power, if it offers more details about what should be expected to be seen and not seen, if it depends less on authorities and more on observations, if it makes fewer assumptions, if it is falsifiable, which means more testable by observation or experiment, if it can be used to compress encoded observations into fewer bits.
So I want to. This goes to what I was talking about earlier about the astrology thing too. You can apply this principle to most things in life. Does it require less assumptions? As I said, is it falsifiable? Can we actually test this thing and figure out, have our test, have a hypothesis and test to see its accuracy? So when he's saying these women are being sent, that's a big assumption. Is it creating less assumptions? Is it more predictive? Or is it more predictive? Or is hypergamy more predictive? Because hypergamy seems to be applied across the world. It turns out whether you're black or you're not, if you start making a lot of money and you get famous,
women gonna be on you.
Women gonna be on you. So which
particularly
one is it?
women that you didn't have access to before when you were poor.
Back then they didn't want me. Now I'm
And
Now
hot.
they all on me.
Yeah,
that goes across the board.
Mm-hmm.
So
no, I just want to say that's what the encouragement is. Try to explore all possibilities before you make a sound judgment. Like this is what it is. Let's try to explore and really find out what's going on. But
There you go.
Yeah,
just ponder on it a little bit.
And I'm not expecting everybody to be able to consume all of this information in one setting. The point is this: we do have tools to empower us to be more discerning. This is what discernment looks like. A lot of us, especially those of us who've been raised around the church and the church, discernment is some mystical force that comes and possesses you almost in a sense, and all of a sudden you know things you wouldn't otherwise know. The Bible never really teaches discernment that way for those who are Christians or Jews or anything like that. Discernment, the quote, the Bible says, the man who presents his case first seems right until another cross-examines him. And the book of Acts, the Bereans were considered the most noblest of the Jews because when Paul was preaching, they were searching the text to see if what he was saying was true. That was considered discernment. In those two situations I gave right there, cross-examination, checking to see what they're saying is true. Discernment's not a mystical force. Discernment is a science. It's a way of knowing things. It's being reasonable. It's weighing things out in your mind and going, that seems less plausible. This seems more plausible. So I just want the audience to be empowered with that. There are tools. That's the purpose of the show primarily, is for y'all to be able to develop the tools to be able to reason better. And this applies when your kids are telling you things. I didn't eat the last cookie. You're going to weigh plausible explanations versus implausible explanations. That's what we do. We do this stuff naturally. We just don't always know when to apply it. And we don't know that we can apply these tools more rigorously and more effectively when it comes to things like what Riz is saying or what Dr. Umar is saying or what your pastor's saying or what your wife.
And a lot of them are basing that they're utilizing confirmation bias, or they're utilizing the black community's tendency to subscribe to confirmation bias, which is essentially, I'm going to say something that I know they already are leaning towards, so they agree with me.
Yeah. So I just want to say that part. Anybody got any comments on that before we get back to Solar's good point?
Yeah, that's all I'm going to say, just to add on, exploring all possibilities. I guess it's safe to say a victim. I could say I probably was a victim of some of that rhetoric, consuming what some of these so-called black leaders were saying and just trusting them. Like, oh, okay, they well researched, they sound smart, they probably know what they're talking about.
Let me give an example real quick. We did a Umar breakdown not too long ago, and one thing that Dr. Umar said was that possibly white federal employees are being sent to Chicago, or maybe being sent, maybe not being sent, but on days off, going to Chicago and shooting black people because the amount of violence that's being reported is higher than what the gang violence actually would be doing, right? And I want to use that explanatory power thing. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but I was saying it without saying the terms. Maybe I did. I don't remember if I said the terms on the last show, but I was saying it without saying it. But think about the amount of assumptions that would have to go into that just to make that come true. It's more easier to say the gangs are just doing it.
More easier? Inconceivable.
Yeah. I mean, to say that these people are risking their federal jobs, they're risking their livelihood to go to an entirely different city. They have to coordinate with the police forces that are there so that they don't arrest you for murdering somebody. You know what I'm saying? You got to do it in a place where there's no cameras. Think about the concerted effort it would take to pull this thing off.
They're also risking dying because you look white, you are white in a predominantly black area, and they are heavily armed.
And you're shooting.
You're in a heavily armed environment. They with the smoke.
Like gang violence. So it's the person's got to fall in a certain way. This person has to have some kind of known gang affiliation. So you got to know who these people are. Think about the effort it would take. And my whole point is saying, what Dr. Umar to be saying, for what he's saying to be true, look at how many things you have to assume is in a place just for this one event to be accurate of what he's saying.
When there's so many other possibilities that are possible first.
That would explain all the data without all the necessary or all those assumptions need to be needed. All the civil rights people in that Chicago area, they're not talking about this. So that means they're not even knowing that these white people, these federal employees are going over there and shooting blacks. So I want you to understand this. Just because what he's saying is outlandish doesn't mean it's not true. But what it means is that we don't have good reason to believe it, is my point. It's implausible. And I think as people, we got to do a better job of understanding what's a plausible scenario versus what's implausible, because percentage-wise, you're going to be right more often if you go with what actually is plausible than what's not plausible, based off somebody playing on your fears, your paranoias, all the different things that they play on, our biases that we already have, our confirmation biases, as Freshly already said, that would make us want to believe that the man's out to get us. And that every community can be attributed to the fact that the white man hates us. But sorry, that was my last little piece on that right there. I just wanted to give a real example that happened recently of how explanatory power can be used to really make the point in your really discern in your mind how plausible is what he's saying. Look at all the different entities that would need to be working together, and at the same time to make this actually work.
It will be a massive undertaking, and for it to be true, it will have to be a massive undertaking with absolutely no leaks, with so many places for it to leak from.
Did they clone Tyrone?
Did
they clone Tyrone? I want to know. Like, is there a secret cloning facility out here somewhere underneath these lands, and they out here abducting people?
Hey, listen, black folk don't eat chicken like they used to, man.
They
would have to put it in something like
the known conspiracy theory throughout the. Did they clone Kodak? Did they clone what's his name?
Gucci?
Did they got a Gucci clone out there?
Nah, they definitely cloned Gucci.
They said Jamie Foxx too.
They assumed. I mean, again, from what Eddie Griffin said a couple times, it's some real weird things going on out here in these streets that y'all really don't know about.
Here's the thing: if they clone Gucci, using the tactics that Vulcan was describing in his last rant, diatribe. Not just joking. What would be the purpose? What would be the purpose of cloning Gucci? To be honest with you, if I'm the white man and I hate black people, I leave Gucci as Gucci is. He was detrimental to black people the way he went in. He was detrimental to himself.
You take Jeezy out for talking bad about Gucci. Anybody who says a foul word about Gucci, they just out of there. Nope.
Yeah. Instead of saying, hey, we're going to send you in, you're going to come out in shape, clear-headed, with a purpose in life.
With a wife, being a good husband.
Yes, not only a wife, but like an out loud wife. Like, yo, I'm going to show the black community, black men in hip hop that it's okay, it's cool to be married. And like, I'm like, bro, if I'm trying to destroy the black man, black culture, I leave Gucci just the way he is. Matter of fact, I might make him more toxic.
Make him president.
Yeah, Gucci, come out, and I want you to start saying cracker now, all right? Because niggas don't really love that.
But Solar had a point. Sorry to interject in there, but I wanted to speak to that point to educate the public on those terms. Again, explanatory power. And I mentioned Occam's razor and explanatory scope, which kind of falls under that umbrella, so I won't go too much in detail of that. But look that up when you get a chance. Y'all, it'll help you in discernment. But yeah, Solar, you had a point?
All I was saying is, have we been undereducated in our communities?
100%.
Understood.
So historically, yes.
Historically undereducated. So when we say that, hey, if another race took advantage of us, or if another race is more smarter than us, it ain't because that we couldn't obtain the knowledge, it's that we haven't been educated on the terms that we needed to be up to speed on where they are. assuming that we've been undereducated, which we all assume that we can say that we have as a culture, and especially when it comes down to the laws of the land, because a lot of the times the laws that were solidified and made true, we don't really understand them to begin with, and there's so much rhetoric around it that you would have to be a lawyer to really understand those terms.
We got plenty of black lawyers.
I'm not saying that we don't have black lawyers. I'm saying that the masses don't have access, or they don't utilize the services that are out there to take advantage of those lawyers that are in their communities.
Do you
So
mean the poor masses or the black masses?
I would assume that the poor masses is what we're referring to,
I
because
agree.
they are the
Well,
mass.
that's what we're saying. So that we got to explore other possibilities. That could be classism, then, right?
It's
That could have
it's not
something to do with
racism, it's classism. Good point,
I never,
Nelson.
it could be
I never said
racism,
it
but
was
we got to
racism to begin with.
explore. I'm sorry. So
I said I never said it was racism based on just, I guess, classism, or the lower class of our society, which is majority of our society.
It could be sexism because black women are doing just fine.
well, it's not majority of our society. The poorest people in this society are white people. Let's keep that in mind.
I mean,
Yeah,
we're
they're not smart
people.
either.
Yeah.
I'm not saying, again, the point that I'm trying to make here
Well,
isn't
on
to tear
welfare.
down.
Let me clear it up. More whites on welfare than any other race.
Of course, it's a larger percentage of them to be on welfare. I mean, at 11% of the American, at least the U.S. culture or whatever, or the U.S. population, at 11%, maybe 13 to max it out. I mean, you have 46% of the other side of the field. They were going to be disproportionately amount more on welfare. But what I'm really getting at is that since we have been undereducated and since we have been underserved, it is going to be a point. At some point, there it's going to be like, okay, how could you expect a person to really understand the true nature of what they never been taught? I like what is it, EYL. You know what I'm talking about. Pretty much the group that's teaching everyone about, I guess, business, credit, all of these things that are being taught in our society through social media right now, and it's like earn your leisure, basically.
Oh yeah,
They
leisure.
EYL. I think that's what it's
Yeah,
called,
I
right?
like that. I like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
CQ, you got anything you want to say to that?
Nah, I'm good. I mean, I'm good.
Yeah, that's it. I would just I see what you're saying. I just want to touch on what Solo was saying. Yes, we have a history that, black people have been disfranchised in a lot of ways, but what I was speaking on when you asked that question the first time, the guys that's in the street, I think we underestimate what they know and don't know. I think they would know if it was a trick playing on them for the up aboves that was manipulating them to do a lot of these things. That's what I'm saying. I think we underestimated their intelligence, and that's what I was getting on.
No, and I agree with you to a certain degree. Like I'm not saying that. I mean, we all can tell when somebody's trying to play us for a fool, right? At some point. But there's also going to be some planning on how can we get this person to move or put them in a position to fail. Now, I'm not going to sit up and say that I haven't been looked at as a black man that doesn't know nothing, because I can go in a home and be like, and blow somebody's mind with whatever I speak on whatever I'm knowledgeable of, because they would never think that it would come from me. But at the same time, it's not because I didn't educate myself, because I did. I took advantage of all the tools that I needed before I even put myself in that realm. Not a lot of people do that. They just wing it. What you just kind of brought up, the terminology. What is it? Explorative power, or the terminology that you use?
Yeah, explanatory power and
explanatory power. Most people won't know the true definition of that until they listen to this podcast, because they've never really been educated on that.
See, this is the part that I tend to disagree about. That though is like, I mean, and I'm not gonna. I'll just use myself I'll just bite the bullet, use myself, throw myself under the bus. I didn't take school seriously in that way. I didn't go to class. Even in college, I didn't go to class in college. So for me, like, I mean, I'm not educated because I chose to do other things other than stay in the classroom and get educated.
Ping pong.
Yeah, ping pong in college, and so my in basketball and other stuff as well. So my point is saying that when it goes to when we say we just weren't educated, because I have friends of mine who've gone into different beliefs, Moors and black law, all these different beliefs that they get into, and they're like, man, they never taught us this stuff. And I was like, how would you know? You never were in class. You were a playboy in school. You were always doing other stuff. You never really cared about education like that while you were in school. What they say? They say youth is wasted on the young. You heard that? Or strength is wasted on the young. I think it's youth is wasted on the young. Because when we're young, we don't value things that are valuable at that time. African Americans study the least of all people.
The venerable Chris Rock said, if you want to hide something from a nigga, put it in the book.
Put it in the book. So when my issue with what you're saying, Solar, is that it's kind of taking accountability away from the fact that we all, even at the worst public schools, they still have textbooks in them. You can read it. You can go to the library and read it if you want to. We just don't want to do that.
I mean, again, I told you I educated myself on everything that I know. I didn't go to school to figure out what's going to be the best option for me. I took the advantage of the opportunity that I had, which is to learn on my own and to study on my own. Now, the thing about that is not everybody in our culture is built that way. Not everybody.
Most aren't. But my whole point is saying, I'm talking about like, in the formative years, like 1st through 12th grade, for instance, most of us really aren't. We're not giving 100% in school like that. I mean, I was giving way less than 100%, but even the people that were giving more than me weren't giving 100%. They were still playing around and acting foolish and not paying attention when the teacher was teaching and doing other stuff. And
can you name a society that is, or a culture that is?
Well,
exactly.
I was going to say the Nigerians do a way better job than us at that.
Chinese.
The
So
Chinese.
hold on. So let's explore now. Let's explore. So, what is it? Is it culture? We got to start questioning because we do the less. Well, we spend more time culture. We spend more time watching TV than we do our homework.
And
so
that's across the board: white, black, green, yellow, whatever.
No.
That's what we're saying. Is not across the board.
No.
So you telling me in America,
why do you think ESPN leans so black? Because we watch sports shows the most.
Black men, in particular, black men.
Like in the American culture, you can't tell me that we don't indulge in more entertainment and, I guess.
No, you're right. But now we got to break it up by ethnicity now. So you're right. As Americans, we tend to really enjoy entertainment, right? So we're on the same page. But now we're going to break it up by age. We're going to break it up by ethnicity or race, however you want to say it. We're going to break it up by income. You see what I'm saying? And when you break it up by race and or ethnicity, what you find out is that African Americans study
young.
Sorry, go ahead.
Young African Americans.
Young African Americans study less than other people groups, less than Nigerians.
Are you talking about in America?
In America, yeah, we study the least.
Okay, understood.
We watch TV the most.
We have the most distractions.
No.
Huh?
So we have
Wait, what?
He said we have the most distractions.
You just told me that. You just literally told me that we have athletes. We have
the most ADHD. You want to say that?
No, what I'm saying. You saying we study less than everything, right?
Yeah.
We all have the same amount of distractions available to us.
Everybody has the same amount of distractions across the world. We all have a phone in our hands. This is the most distracting thing possible. But
yeah, so I'm saying 1st to 12th grade, African American young people are, especially African American young boys, specifically because girls are doing pretty well. The black girls are doing African American girls are just pretty well for themselves. But we study the least, we watch the most TV.
So what Solar Ken, to your point, you're right. Everyone across the board has the same amount of distractions. I think what Enos and Vulcan and myself are asking is, why are black people more affected if we have the same opportunities as everyone else? Why do we study less than other cultures when they got the same phone that we got?
If you want to get into the nitty-gritty of why black people or black men in this case, because that's what we're kind of going to, is black men are more distracted because our influencers, the people that we look up to the most, rappers, ball players, football, basketball, whatever you want to look into, that's what our mindset goes to as a career path, and everybody thinks they're going to make it to the NFL, NBA, or be the best drug dealer that ever did it.
Is that our
Versus,
fault?
Who? Yeah, that's on us or that's on the men.
it can be it's on us as a culture for sure. But again, influencing wise, we have a ton of distractions influencing us to do all of those things.
Yeah,
The
but
the league
it's
itself
us
is
influencing us to do that stuff.
okay.
We're
So
the
you saying
influencers.
so we shouldn't play basketball. We shouldn't play football. None of your favorite athletes are. I mean, I believe. I mean,
No, I'm not
um,
saying we shouldn't. You're saying that it's a distraction as opposed to an opportunity. So it's not. We
go
don't
ahead.
have more distractions than anybody else. There's white athletes. There's Mexican athletes.
We probably
There's
have less because
soccer, tennis, volleyball, football. There's so many other sports.
yeah, we probably have less distractions to be honest with you because everybody enjoys hip hop, but none of us, most of us probably don't, watch opera and classical music. So we don't even. They probably have more. They're probably having more exposure to things that can distract you, sports wise, where there's rugby and golf and stuff like that, and they have basketball and football like we have. So we can make an argument that the dominant white society has more distractions than the average black person has. We could make that argument, probably quite
Yeah, I
successfully.
also said that
Yeah,
they're
I
more
want to add
educated
this.
than.
I want to also add the richest black folks in the last 20 years, I say 30 years, we're talking billionaire status, have produced most of content that's not as constructive to our culture. Whether it's Tyler Perry, the Jay-Z's, the Kanye's, they
Michael
actually did
Jordan.
a lot of damage to the community as well.
Michael
Man,
Jordan.
Jay-Z gave us 444. I don't want to hear no Jay-Z slander on this podcast.
Michael Jordan influenced the world to play
Yeah,
basketball at a higher level.
yeah. But do we want to, Fresh, you want to read this turn so I know we're going to close out in a little bit. We can read that. The other term, Vulcan wanted you to, wanted us to speak on, was it this one right here? Yeah, this one right here. Just want to make sure I have the right one.
In philosophy, Occam's razor, also spelled Occam's razor or Occam's razor, novacula alchemy, is the problem-solving principle that recommends searching for explanations constructed, with the smallest possible set of elements. It is also known as the principle of parsimony or the law of parsimony, attributed to William Occam, a 14th century English philosopher and theologian. It is frequently cited as inscia non sunt multiplicata praeter necessitatem, which translates as entities must not be multiplied beyond necessity, which translates to don't take it any farther than you have to. The simplest solution is usually the best solution. To put it into layman's terms. The simplest explanation is usually the best one. This philosophical razor advocates that when presented with competing hypotheses about the same prediction and both theories have equal explanatory power, one should prefer the hypothesis that requires the fewest assumptions, and that this is not meant to be a way of choosing between hypotheses that make different predictions. Similarly, in science, Occam's razor is used as an abductive heuristic in the development of theoretical models rather than as a rigorous arbiter between candidate models.
Yeah, and a lot of that, I wish we probably got to work on finding sites that maybe simplify it a lot more. You have to read 2 paragraphs, but in general, I just want everybody to see right there again, and that's why you see explanatory power mentioned over there. It's kind of under the umbrella of explanatory power, but it's just letting you know. It says right here, kind of inaccurately paraphrase, the simplest explanation is usually the best one, but what it's saying is that basically the one that has the fewest assumptions you should prefer. So you hear somebody gives two explanations for an event or for an occurrence or whatever it is. They're saying the one that has the fewest assumptions is the one you should prefer.
The one you have to jump through the fewest hoops for.
Yeah, because the more assumptions means it's more statistically unlikely. The more assumptions it takes, the more statistically unlikely it would happen. It means all this stuff has to happen simultaneously in the right order for whatever said event to occur. So it's just letting you know, mathematically speaking, in short, it's saying it's less plausible if it has more assumptions in it. So yeah, that's with men's toiletries. I don't know, but yeah. So I guess we can do closing comments here. Solar, we'll have I guess CQ go and then Solar go.
Yeah, no. In closing, I think that
just the show in general, just for the show in general, you don't have to speak to anything specifically, but just the show in general, anything stood out to you, anything.
You said, dude.
Huh?
What'd you say?
I said just summarize whatever you want, how you ever want to close out, 2 minutes or less. Just close out on the show in general. Any points that stood out to you? Anything you want to say about anything in general? Just 2 minutes or less. Your closeout statement.
No, definitely some eye openers. I definitely learned today. I learned the difference between astronomy and astrology. So that was pretty cool. And just, I think that overall, I think we did get to some common grounds as far as how we, discussed everything. I think there was some, people got good I know I got good understanding from the different discuss. Hey man, just keep carrying on, man. The Vulcan Soapbox is a dope podcast to check out. So.
Sure.
Well, I definitely appreciate everybody that was on the show. I appreciate the different points of views and also just overall like the experience of being able to debate on a even playing field with everybody and being able to share thoughts and collaborate on the collective overall experience. But at the same time, we can do better as a culture. So these conversations need to be had and should be had more often than none. Again, education is everything. A lot of times in our culture, we don't get the right terms or aren't able to share the right thoughts because of the lack of knowledge or what we don't understand. And now that these conversations are happening more frequently, we get the conversation and the rhetoric going. So again, follow me anywhere. Solar King, Energy King, Instagram, all of that. Go holler at me. And, we do Talk Solar as well. Talk Solar and Vibe is a podcast. So I'll come holler at me.
Talk Solar. Oh, yeah. CQ, real quickly. How about for yourself? Where will you find you? You doing anything? What's going on?
A lot of music coming for the 2024.
Your audio is a little shaky, at least on my end. I don't know about everybody else.
Y'all hear me better?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, no, you can find me on IG, CQOGPC, Facebook. All my music is on YouTube. You just got to type in the name that y'all see right there. We got projects coming out, touring. We're going to be doing some shows in different cities. So just be on the lookout.
Yes, sir. Okay, I'll go next.
I guess I go in fresh and vote.
Okay, go ahead.
I guess I go, yeah. So this show today, I'm sorry about early. Apologize for technical difficulties we had. We're going to get better. Just be patient with us. Just to let y'all know what this platform is about. Just try to help us with critical thinking, our reasoning skills. On this platform, we like to make attempts to reason at the highest level. Just trying to get closer to the truth. And thank y'all for joining us, and thank for the audience for tuning in.
That's not like the end of the show altogether, but yeah.
Thank y'all for tuning in. We out. I'm gonna let you hit cleanup, Vulcan.
Okay.
I always appreciate the intelligent discourse that goes forth on these podcasts. I definitely appreciate everyone's point of view and different perspectives. It only grows us as a culture and as intellects all together. To the people, man, just think for yourself. That's all we asking. We're not telling you what to think, how to think. We are telling you, we are giving you tips on how to think, but it's not what to think. Just believe what you want to believe, but believe it because you did the research, you did your due diligence to understand what you were believing, as opposed to just letting somebody tell you what to believe. Um, and that's all for me, man.
Hold on,
Yeah.
let me say one more thing, Vulcan. I'm sorry, I'm just I'm doing the Kanye West right now. I'm gonna let you finish, but nah. So, like I said, just wanted to, because I forgot to mention this. I think we have oh, okay, backhand. We have we get trapped into the group thing. So I just want to make sure I put that term out. Without coach, I see a lot of us fall in a lot of tribes, and we get indoctrinated with a lot of different ideologies and get trapped in a lot of groups. Well, I got the term group thinking. So let's just be careful of that, y'all.
That's how the Democrats got us.
Oh, that's another show, man. Don't do that.
Yeah.
I just like it. Don't do me like that.
So yeah, y'all definitely the Vulcan soapbox. You know, Vulcan people again, or people are very much obsessed and obsessed with reason and being logical. And the soapbox is something you stand on to give a message that's important to you that people need to hear. And this is a very much a passion of mine because I remember throughout pretty much most of my life, I'll meet different people that had different perspectives on all kind of things from religion, philosophy, socioeconomics, everything you can imagine. And I'm not an expert in any of those topics. I don't pretend to be, but when I would have dialogue with different people, they would always be enamored with my ability to explain myself and how I was able to decipher things. People would think I had a lot of information about the actual topic itself, which I didn't, and didn't really care to most of the time, depending upon what the topic was.
So what you're saying, you're a fraud.
Now, you're a fraud. So the main thing I would tell people all the time, I said, you're mistaking me being a subject matter expert with me knowing when somebody's making a bad argument. And so I will let people know, like, this show is about you being able to know when somebody's making a bad argument versus a good argument. Somebody can make a bad argument and be right.
And be right.
Somebody can make a good argument and be wrong. That's called a valid argument. A valid argument just means that it's a reasonable argument. The conclusion can then still end up being false. And also on the flip side of that, somebody can make bad points and still be right. Sophistry. It's argumentation and formulations that aren't rooted in reason. Sophistry versus good reasoning versus being reasonable. No, that's what it's two about. And I've seen so many of my friends and family people I care about that would get so wrapped up into the brilliance of some orator that's communicating a message that's very important to them. And when I ask them, well, how do you know if what he's saying is true? Well, what did he say that convinced you? They were captivated by the personality. They were captivated by the information that was being disseminated. But they never thought, like, okay, how did he prove what he was saying? Let me write this down. Let me go start breaking this part down. Because we start doing that. I'll just give one quick example. I was in this class, and one of the instructors was talking about how he traveled the world and has done so many different things, and he's been this and been that. He's an older gentleman, a very respectful, refined gentleman, and so he was telling the entire class. He was like, hey, y'all, one thing I've learned in life. He said, the one thing I've learned in life is there are no absolutes.
That's an absolute.
Everybody's clapping. Everybody's going, that wow, that's wise. This old man is a lotus of wisdom, a guru. And I'm just trying to get my little certification, so I didn't feel like really raising my hand, but I was compelled to, because again, I can just see people being misled by this sophistry, right? And so I raised my hand, and he called on me, hey, this is Vulcan, what's what you got over there? And I was like, well, you mentioned about how, you know, you traveled the world, you've experienced a lot of different beliefs, you've been this, you've been that, you've heard this, you've heard that. And you said the one thing you've learned after all that is nothing's absolute. And I asked him, I said, well, sir, isn't that an absolute? And then he thought for a moment. He was kind of like in his mind going, then he goes, you're right.
Hey, what he not gonna tell y'all is Vulcan didn't get his certificate because he tried to play the instructor.
So the point I'm making y'all with that is what he was guilty of is what's called the law of contradiction or the law of non-contradiction, depending upon both of them are applicable there or applicable there. And my point is saying that he violated a law of reason. He contradicted himself. That doesn't mean that everything he said that whole day was wrong. It just means that was a bad formulation. That's a bad extrapolation from all the everything he had experienced. He came to a conclusion that was erroneous. And probably didn't even realize it as an older man until this young guy is in his class and I'm saying, hey, you contradicted yourself. And he had to actually think for the first time about this age-old ancient Chinese philosophy that he had, this proverb that he had adopted that wasn't sound at all. And anybody who just was listening to his words could pick it out. You don't have to know everything he's known. You don't have to have experienced everything he's experienced to come to the determination that you got a lot of stuff, but that ain't it. So
you just gotta know the definition of absolute.
Absolutely right. So that's what this show is about. I want everybody to keep that in mind, and I hope y'all keep tuning in and keep learning and challenging us. And we hope to see some of y'all come up on the show and send questions in. But that's it for the day, y'all. We're Vulcan Soapbox. We're wrapping it up, and it was a pleasure doing business with y'all. The Vulcan symbol. That's it. Live long and prosper.
Peace.
Peace and love.